Welcome to the Mortal Realms Sigmarnalia Spectacular Podcast Ultra Crossover episode. Grab your hammer so we can clear a path through the chaos and forge our own narratives in the Age of Sigmar. Your allies through the Realm Gate this episode are, from the Mortal Realms, Aaron, the Lord of Lore, Paul, the inventor of the inane or ubernegus of unreliable narration, Davey, the Padishah of the Pocket Realms, and myself, Eric, the Punderkin of podcasts, from What the Hex, Davey, the Hetman of Hexes, and Phil, who couldn't join us, is the Captain of Crits, from the Dogs of Warcry, Josh, the Relegator of Renown, Paven, who's also missing in the void, the Queen of Quads, Vint, our Gangster of Glory, and from the Path of Story, Paul, the Silly Spider, Story Rarer, and Will, who couldn't make it, the Recontour of Relative Retellings.
He did so good. He did so perfect.
Nice.
Oh,
that's all one breath. I heard it.
I don't. You can call this a win for you. Whatever else happens here.
Yeah. I mean, you can just kick your feet up.
I might not say anything else the rest of the time. See you guys.
Set that sucker on cruise control and
cruise control to Funville. All right, hey everybody, this is a regathering, retelling of the Mortal Realms crossover Sigmarnalia Spectacular Show in the year of our Lord 2022. We're back in the saddle again. Hey everybody, how's it going?
You owe me $1.
Excellent. I didn't see anything.
Doing good. Are we, by that title, are we just retconning the last one? Like we just go back and we can say whatever we did say and people have to ignore whatever we said last time?
We'd be foolish not to, quite frankly. Cool. We've earned that right, if nothing else. But it's been 3 years, 3 whole stankin' years since we did one of these Sigmarnalia Spectacular shows, and the crowds are clamoring for it. They've been up on our butts, trying to get us to record one of these things. And frankly, like, we've become so successful that, like, you can't get us in the same room anymore, right? The egos are too large. We've come too far. But
we're all on our own projects now.
Yeah, exactly. But now we kind of need an influx of cash, and so this is also going to be one of those.
It's a farewell tour. It's not actually a farewell tour.
The Jerry Lee Lewis telethon, but podcast.
It's like Band-Aid, but like we're the ones.
Marrying.
Exactly. We're the African villages, and so we get back together and chat you listeners up and catch y'all up with what we've been up to, and to give our reflections on what a year it has been, 2022, and maybe
/ 3 years, right? But I mean, nothing's happened in the past 3 years. It should be pretty quick.
Yeah, we'll just yada through.
Guys, do you think the last 3 years happened because we did the Sigmarnalia?
Uh-oh.
Did we cause this?
Oh, yeah, we didn't think this through.
I'm going to tell you guys that I'm pretty sure I had like the first case of COVID. I'll tell you about it later, but I'm fairly certain I might have brought it.
Like you were patient zero in the U.S.?
I'm basically patient zero in the U.S., but that's neither here nor there.
Well, there goes those donations.
I mean, we're definitely here. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, so we're here. We're ready. We're gonna reflect and also maybe predict, possibly in that order, frankly. So, but to start, I think how we did it last time, and I'm a creature of habit. I do it once, I'm going to do it that way for the rest of my life. I think the first question we asked last time is everybody went around the horde and talked about how their holidays have been so far. And frankly, I would like to know now. So I'm just going to ask people on my list of people on this chat. Hey, Josh. How have your holidays been? Tell us about them a little bit.
They've been good. Lots of, family. Haven't done a lot of traveling, which has been nice. Lots of kids activities as well. Lots of concerts and things to attend. So it's been a little hectic on that front. But they're all great to watch and listen to. So we've had a good time and looking forward to, Christmas coming up to have some, again, family together and share some gifts with each other. Looking forward to it.
Josh, let me tell you, your family's not going to listen to this, so you don't need to say all those nice things.
Actually, last time we were driving to Michigan to visit my in-laws, and my wife asked to listen to it in the van, so we did. We listened.
Oh my gosh!
So you never know.
And she thought it was awesome.
It's like Russian roulette of podcast listening.
Now I'm going to be so much more careful about everything I say from here on out. Davey, how your holidays been so far?
Been pretty good. We're gearing up. We're actually not traveling anywhere ourselves. And growing up, that's how it was for me. We were always overseas. So it was always just like my immediate siblings and parents. And so in my head, that's what it's supposed to be. And so to finally get a year where that's the case is pretty enticing. Although I am actually working on Christmas Day, but the kids are pretty flexible at this point. So they took it in stride. Did not bat an eye about doing things a day late. But been good.
Very cool. Potato Head Paul, which is what your name is here on this recording. How have your holidays been? Tell me about them.
Pretty good. We've just been staying put for the most part. Just enjoying being around each other. So that's been good. With 3 kids in school, it's been hard to get everybody in the same place at the same time doing things. So it's nice to have that. And then hopefully we'll be traveling for Christmas too. So that'll be great. So it's been good.
Excellent. And with 3 kids in school, it's probably also pretty hard to keep them healthy, as I have found out.
Yes.
It's just, I think there's just a thin layer of boogers in my house right now. Anyways, Eric, how have your holidays been?
Good, but not enough cookies yet. So waiting for those to really kind of bring it all together. No, it's been good. A lot of piano recitals and church plays and that sort of stuff. So we got decorations abound through the house. And we got kind of our first big dump of snow, which wasn't too bad. It might be gone in a week, but unless we get that big storm coming in. So yeah, it's going great. Looking forward to cookies.
But let's not forget about the cookies, though. That's the most important part. Right on, Vint. How have your holidays been?
They've been pretty exciting. I started a new job, a couple months prior to the holidays, and that's proved with no small amount of challenges for scheduling and timing and things. And I work with a lot of students, so I too am just constantly like, boy, am I sick or am I just a carrier? Because I don't think the healthy is an option. Aside from that, it's been good. There's been a lot of hobby and a lot of just being able to kind of catch up on reading and just do a lot of the things I've been kind of putting off lately. And the catching up feels good. It's been really nice, and not to sound like hobby, but it's really been a lot of that. Going through and reading books for different settings and different things Warhammer related has been awesome, and catching up through the stack of books and models that I've been kind of putting off. So it feels more like a New Year's all the time, right? I've been building. I think I put together like 60 Carrick Acolytes in the last couple weeks here. I've been cruising through Zangors left and right to get some Zeech stuff together, and it's been fun to get back into some hobby for me. So that's been kind of cool.
Right on, very cool. And at my end, as far as the holidays have been great. Every year, the kids, as they get older, I feel like it becomes more and more of like a larger event. They're more present. They're more cognizant of what is going on, and you can start to see some of like the traditions like sink in a little bit in the little kiddo eyes. And so because of that, I think every year they get more and more exciting. So we've done a lot of our Christmas traditions already, going to see lights, got the tree, all the decorations are up, et cetera, et cetera. So things are looking good. I'm jealous of those who won't have to travel in the future. I don't know if that'll ever hit me. Hopefully one day. Because man, what's the point of making a house all cozy if you got to leave? You got to go to somebody else's house. So that's me in a nutshell. Or maybe like a roasted nut, like on the open fire kind of
snow globe.
Yeah, or that too. Cool beans. All right, so there's the update about everybody's holidays, listener. Now you too know how our holidays are going, and hope your holidays are going well as well.
Yeah, listener, how's your holidays?
We'll pause for a sec. Oh yeah. Oh great. Oh how frustrating. Well, it'll all work out in the end. Anyways, okay. So next topic of discussion. I think first we probably should look backwards. We should probably reflect. The holidays, the end of the year, is a great time for reflection. This has been a relatively full year in our Warhammer hobby. How about we talk about it? How about we highlight some of our favorite things? And with that, I might start with one of my favorite things. Everybody, get ready for it because here it comes. One of my favorite segments of all time is putting you all on the spot and ask you to sum up something, oftentimes an army, in one sentence. But in this case, do you think that you could sum up an entire year in one sentence? I bet you can. I'm sure you can.
Classic.
Yeah, classic move. You should have seen it coming. So I'm gonna go backwards this time. Vent.
Oh, good.
If you could sum up your year, if you could sum up 2022, trial by fire.
Just what I was looking for.
So Aaron, I do have to say, I thought about it when I got this message. I was like, "There's going to be a sum something up in one sentence," and I was trying to scratch my head for what it could be. And a whole year, that's good.
Let me pause real quick. Let me interrupt. I'll give you a second to think about it. This is a question coming from guess who, but our buddy Kieran. He had a lot of great ones, and so he knows the way to my heart. It was his idea, so blame this on him. But also. So I've given you sufficient time to think about event. Sum up 2022 in one sentence. Go.
It was a year where we were going through GUR in all the different kinds of games we have, and all of them came out with new and exciting expansions or content.
Okay, all right. I like where you're at.
Compound sentence. Got him.
Sure. Right. Fantastic. You've set the bar. Let's see if Eric can, I don't know, go over it, go under it. I don't know. Are we limboing? Or are we doing
right through it?
Eric, one sentence. I think you might be muted currently. Sum up your year for me.
A podcaster walks into a bar. Ow.
I'm right in the shins.
After waiting on the outside of the hobby, I stepped back in and got cogs deep in Cities of Sigmar warband for Warcry and building our league and kicking off another season of Dogs of Warcry. It's been pretty focused in that way.
Sure. That was a long run-on sentence.
There's probably a semicolon.
I only do them run-on, man. Got to get the anaerobics going.
Got to get your steps in, your verbal steps in. All right, Paul.
Diaphragm use.
One sentence, sum up 2022, if you can.
Traveling, Warhammering, painting. Awesome. I don't know. Let's go with that.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. Yeah. There's some snaps. David, how are you going to follow that one up with a summary of your year in one sentence?
It's been pretty much all Underworlds all the time, and mostly metastasizing our local scene into something bigger, where we started to have regular events traveling in mass to Adepticon, and really kind of getting totally out of the hands of Phil and I, who for a long time were the scene, and now it's way beyond us, which is awesome.
Ooh, I'm going to see what the transcriptions are going to show. How many commas? I can't talk. How many commas were necessary for that one? Josh, tell me about your year in one sentence in 2022.
It's been a great year of events, painting, converting, modeling, and gaming.
It hurts me when you say all that stuff. I kid. Excellent. What a year it is. Good job, everybody. So, listeners, if you want to turn off, if that's enough for you, and it very well might be, go ahead and turn the episode off now. And I'm
going to do that too.
meet you up later.
Did you find some cookies, Davey, or something? Because Eric will come right over.
Davey, he's going to release the envelope if you shut off now. That's.
I don't know envelope. All right, excellent. So, thank you for indulging me and indulging Kieran. We will be indulging Kieran again later, and again probably. But I think. Let's talk about maybe some of that. I think we probably have touched on some of your guys' one sentence summaries, but I do want to hear about what you think your highlight of the year was. If you could pick like a thing, whether it was an event or a model or a release or something that you were doing maybe over this year that really stood out to you as the highlight of your year, I'd love to hear about it. I was listening to the 2019 episode just to catch myself back up, and hearing some of the highlights back then really made me, smile or reflect fondly back on what a relatively good year 2019 was. Maybe one of the last good ones. And if we can recapture some of that magic here too. I'm sorry, that's a lot of pressure. I shouldn't have said that. All right, let's go back down the horn again. We're just going to zigzag up and down, up and down. Josh, what was the highlight for you for 2022?
There's lots of good things happen this year, but I think I'm going to go with the premier Dogs of Warcry event at Adepticon. I think it put a lot of hard work in, and I think it went off better than I had hoped it would. So that was definitely a highlight.
Right on. Very cool. I wonder if we're going to get a lot of Adepticon highlights. Oops, spoiler alert. All right, keep going. Davey, what was the standout for you? 2022 highlight. Tell me about
Funny
it.
you should mention Adepticon. It was not only going down with a substantial team to participate in the Grand Clash there, but from where I was sitting and playing, I could take a pause, kind of look across, and see our sister shows there running events just across the aisle, and seeing like the level of engagement and enthusiasm over there. I was like, man, that's cool. And like, I barely know what they're doing. Like it's crazy to think that this grew into a thing where Phil and I could bring a team and there'd be events that we're running, and from where it all started, that was kind of a wow moment for us. So that was the highlight for me.
Yeah, it definitely was fun.
I got a guess maybe what Paul's highlighted 2022 is. Hey, Paul, what was the standout highlight for your year?
It's got to be Adepticon. I mean, I've been doing Adepticon for 12 years, something like that, 13 years now. And just to be able to have Adepticon again after not having it for 3 years. I had been to a couple of events in between, but Adepticon is what I consider my home convention. So like to have that actually happen again, and especially because like the weeks before I wasn't sure if I was going to get COVID or what was going on, so like to actually be able to step in the door of the Renaissance again, and just everything was absolutely amazing, and it was so fun to see all my friends and all that kind of stuff, and to run events and et cetera, it was just absolutely amazing. So easily my highlight of the year.
Right on. Excellent. Eric, don't feel obligated to follow the trend, but what would you say? What would you say your highlight was?
I'm not going to be ostracized. Since 2019 pandemic, I haven't been in the hobby much, and so I had started a new job that was taking me down to Chicago, and I think it was maybe the night before or earlier that week or something. I think you had messaged me and like, hey, there's this thing where we're all getting together and it's with Games Workshop and all this kind of stuff. And they're like, maybe you can make it. And I was like, I wasn't planning on this, but maybe I can make it. And so I was able to come out just for the one night, and it was hanging out with all you guys, and like all of us were there. And that hadn't happened since, the Sigmarnalia and whatnot. So it was definitely kind of a signal of like, I got to get back into this, and rejoin the ranks, so to say. So it was definitely Adepticon, but I had one night, like 3 hours of hanging out, and it was definitely still the highlight of the year.
Yeah, but like how awesome was it to have that picture on the stairs?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think we'd ever had a picture like that before. The closest was the Sigmarnalia. I think we took one picture and that was it.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Goofy grins sitting on my couch. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I suppose I probably know what the cover of this episode might be then. Vint, the pressure is mounting again. Don't feel obligated. But if you had to pick the highlight of the year.
So I got to start being on this like podcast thing. It's pretty neat. I definitely wanted to keep doing that. But yeah, other than that, it was really cool. Being at the events at Adepticon was awesome. But I've had the privilege to go to some of the other events and go to some of Davey's events and go to, just some of the stuff that's happening in the area is so cool that the hobby just feels more and more full all the time. Partnering with the team I play on, and watching Age of Sigmar just grow and flourish and kind of turn a page in a lot of ways has just been so neat and engaging, and I'm just happy to be part of all of it. My role changed as far as how my hobby goes this year and what that meant to me, and it's been revitalizing. So highlights, Adepticon was awesome. I have one of my favorite pictures I've ever been in from Adepticon. Of course, Adepticon, right? But I was asked to help Josh with an event, and it was incredible. I was the worst ringer ever. But I had a lot of fun and met a lot of cool people, and it just and anything I touched in this hobby that I was able to do with anybody in the mortal realms was incredible, and I just am happy that it's going to continue to be that, because there's no reason it shouldn't. And that's
We'll
pretty cool.
we'll see about. I mean, we'll see about. And secondly, I'm pretty sure I heard Adepticon and then an event Davey ran one time in the same breath. So like Davey, that was a pretty big big ups. Yeah, nice. Same footing. I'll wrap it back up and say, yeah, no, the Adepticon is the answer to this question. In that, yes, that would probably also my highlight. I knew it was going to be great going down. And in fact, I think I had signed up for 2020 before it got canceled. And oh my gosh, I missed out. Didn't really know what I had been missing out on. Normally when I go to conventions or things like that, I'm often looking forward to going home. Like I'm there for a few days. I'm like, all right, well, this was enough interpersonal connection. It's time to head back to my room by myself. And that was one of the first times that I can remember ever like regretting having to leave when I left, because I left kind of like on a Friday. So that speaks volumes. You may or may not realize that I wanted to stick around. And so I'm looking forward to this year as well. Don't have a hotel room, but I often don't have a hotel room at this point either, so I'm not worried yet. But can't wait to revisit, join back up, and I think the crowd is even going to be a larger turnout. I think there was maybe some tentative turnout this past year. I'll be interested to see what it looks like this year. I'm sure it'll only be larger than it was. So, super.
I just want to take a pause and just let Adepticon know that they didn't raise the hackles, or make you want your skin crawl or anything. So that's pretty great on you, Adepticon. Nice job.
Such praise from me. It doesn't get any higher than that.
Didn't draw physical revulsion. Wow.
Yeah. Way to go, Tony.
Is disappointed.
Kept on my lunch. All in all, good visit. I mean, that's honestly what happens every time I go south of the border anyway. So,
You must have been a sickly child.
as I wear my Cubs hat. All right. Cool beans. What I love that highlight. And I almost feel bad about all the other stuff that were also great about the year that we didn't even really talk about, but Adepticon kicked its butt. So there's that. Very cool. A couple new questions, or maybe one or two of these are new. I can't remember. But so those are that highlight, maybe events or things that really stood out to us. But like, we are in a miniatures based hobby. To that end, I would love to know if you guys had any thoughts on maybe what your favorite mini was. Let's bring it down on the micro level. What was your favorite release, like miniature wise, that came out this year? We're shifting gears. We're gonna go back up now. Hey, Vint, did you have a favorite miniature this year?
Ooh, Chaos Legionnaires. I was ready this time.
Nice, attaboy.
I thought they're really cool. I like Be'lakor. That they're all girded up is pretty neat. They're a box that you build one team and it flats out. You don't need the two boxes to get a kind of the Warcry stuff you're looking for, and it's just awesome. It's a really cool box. I've invested in a few of them. There are many.
Hey, Eric, what was your favorite miniature this year? Tell me about it.
Man, favorite miniature. I was just trying to type and see if there was a year in review recap on Warcom, but
There was for miniature of the year, but yeah.
So I didn't quite get there before this, but I will say
I can skip around. I can skip you and come back to you.
No, it's fine. I mean, I think the most exciting, I think, because it was very relevant to Warcry and our league, etc., was the release of the Heart of Gur and the Sundered Fate boxes. So less about like that, the terrain that we've gotten for this, if I may move from miniature terrain. If it's illegal, you can tell me.
No, you're
but the terrain is just
as well as we do. There's no laws on the mortal realms.
Only guidelines.
If it pleases the court,
own God.
may I shift to the left?
You've earned leniency with your dramatic intro. That you can do no wrong.
All right, there's my free pass. So the terrain from the new sets has just, I think, sparked the imagination. It's given us a very tangible way to think and feel and get into the lands of Gur, into the Gnarlwood, which a lot of our settings are in. So I'll just say the terrain that we got with this, and then I think we're just going to get spoiled a bit for Warcry. So really enjoying that.
Yeah, right on. Very cool. Hey, Paul, what do you think your favorite mini was this year?
I'm going to have to go with 2. Because
See, I broke the rules, and then everyone thinks they break the rules.
I was going to break the rules even before you broke the rules.
This is a society, okay?
Right. Yeah. So the Kato miniature.
I have the conch now.
Exactly. The Kato miniature, I think, is one of the best miniatures they've ever done, and I love it. And I think it's amazing. And I have one. I haven't painted it yet. But as far as models that I've bought the most, I'm going to have to go with the Ashwaste Nomads.
Ooh.
From Necromunda, because those are gorgeous kits, and I've already made a 600 point army out of them, and I'm making a 2,000 point army out of them now. So I can't say that they weren't my favorite because I've bought the most of them. So
That's fair.
They're a good
On the one hand, that's fair. On the other hand, boo.
I messed up the spreadsheet.
Man, yeah. Paul, that just prompted me to take a look at them right now. They are incredible.
Yeah.
We got them as swag, and I think I gave mine away at Adepticon because I was in a generous mood, but having regrets all of a sudden.
They're very
We can
cool.
talk later.
For what it's worth,
All versions are
very
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
Huge fan.
All right. Well, hey, Davey, what was your favorite mini of the year?
So I may catch you unawares here. I'm going to go with the Lady of Vines. And I thought it was even just on her own. I don't know. It was kind of a cool model, but I was so excited to see this character that we heard a lot about way back, 6 years ago, at the start of the Age of Sigmar, and to be able to see that one of those get called back and brought back as a figure was super exciting. I really enjoyed that a lot. So that's what I'll go with. Even though I'm not a big Sylvaneth guy, I think that the model combined with the nostalgia factor was pretty big for me.
Very cool. Big Sylvaneth guy. Feels like Tree Man. That's what a big Sylvaneth guy would be.
Yeah.
Anyways, Josh, hey, what was your favorite mini of the year?
I had 3 in mind myself. Bint already touched on some.
Everybody's just pushing the limits, huh?
I know. I had this figured out already. There's a lot of models are awesome, but there were a few that gave me like this massive impression when I first saw them. And the first set was the new Sylvaneth when they came out, because they hadn't really had anything new in a long time, and it was just wow. Well, these are awesome. So all of those, the Gossamer Archers, the Riders, and the Lady of Vines. I thought that was a really awesome release. The next set were the Chaos Legionnaires, and then the Jade Obelisk. They all kind of really like the dynamic poses and their compilation together, how they all work together. It just spoke to me. So those are kind of the groups of miniatures that caught my eye this past year.
Very cool. I got Jade Obelisk dudes right here on my desk. In fact, that's what I'm putting together.
Yeah.
I love the dude with the floating obelisk on his back. Anyways, my favorite model this year is probably the new Demon Prince without the terrible face. So the other undivided face. So, listener, you might be listening to yourself. Thinking to yourself, I've seen that Demon Prince, and he's ugly. He's an ugly mug. It's because he's got the wrong face on it. I don't know who decided to use that face on all the promotional materials, but guess what? It was a mistake, and they shouldn't have done it. The other one is much better, and that makes a very cool model. And so that's probably my favorite one of the year.
I feel like you have some opinions, Aaron. You want to tell us what you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I'm letting loose a little bit these days in my old age.
How long did it take you to decide whether
your opinions?
How long did it take you to decide whether the terrible face or the not terrible face was the one to go with?
Considering that it was on the box, I did pause for a moment. But no, the beauty is that even if there was not terrible face, there's the 4 God specific faces that are also pretty cool.
That's pretty rad.
Isn't that that's great? Okay, so bad face, terrible decision. 4 Chaos God faces, greatest decision they could have made. And so I got to imagine 2 different people chose that, right? That was not made by the same person, or that person is just a series of extremes. I guess I don't know who it would be. Anyways, it's wild. Very cool model though. Cool. Did anybody else have any other? I think some people sort of stretched the boundaries on favorite mini. Yep. Were there other great minis out there that people want to bring up while you have the floor before we completely shift gears again entirely?
I really like the Curseling.
Yeah.
I thought that was a super cool idea originally, like back when it was, am I remembering right? Village was the original Curseling. Yep. That model was okay, but it was great at the time it came out. I thought it was super cool, but very static. And this one just takes that cool idea and gives it more motion and puts it in plastic, which thumbs up. So that was a close second for me.
Yeah. I'll put in for the Hexbane's Hunters. Getting to see Witch Hunters back in the Mortal Realms and figure out what they're all about, get some lore on them. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I hope that goes further.
I'm also going to go with and it's a 40K, but only because the Grimnir
got him
comes with a gorgeous female Dwarden head. So I was able to buy that kit and make a female admiral for the KO.
Nice.
And so it's literally that bit. It's not actually the kit itself. It's just that one bit. Totally awesome. And thank you for that.
You can't win me over. I mean, that's not, I see what you're doing, Paul. You're trying to make me feel better about it. It's not working.
Eric's been pulling 40K into AOS all for a long time already.
I don't tell him it's 40K though.
He's done what?
I tell him it's Nurgle and it's 4DK. And he's like, okay, cool.
Okay, sure.
He also carefully doesn't call it conversion. He calls it kit bashing, and Aaron hasn't cottoned on to that yet.
Yeah, yep. Guys.
It's because Aaron's dumb, isn't it?
In the last story phase, we learned that Aaron has a converted model in his collection. So we're
upside down shield.
Yep.
He listens to my show.
One step.
I just love that Davey was ready with that. There is a harpoon just pow.
For a few moments I had forgotten, but thanks for reminding me again. Not gonna be able to sleep tonight.
We're gonna get a new burn miniature video.
Yeah, just the one though, not the army, just the one model.
I like the new Chosen. I thought those were really classy too.
And long overdue.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
Sure,
absolutely.
They have not been chosen for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I had Kit Bash Chosen before this. Now I have the real Chosen. They're pretty cool. And not the 40K Chosen, just so we're all clear on this. Because,
Thanks. Thank you.
I haven't been tenured yet, unlike some people with their Ashways Nomads.
And is my new right-hand man. Throwing extra stuff in. I think the Ogroid Theridins are also pretty great. Honestly, the whole new Slaves range is fantastic. So, but the Ogroids are also particularly great as well. So a lot of great stuff. A lot of great stuff this year, you guys.
Pretty good.
Speaking of great stuff this year, this is a new question. Speaking of favorites, we're on a positive kick right now, and we will continue to do so. In fact, but Kugelfang from the Discord. And by the way, guys, hey, if this is the first time you listen to a show on the Mortal Realms channel, you may not know that sometimes we ask listener questions or we answer listener questions. And to get listener questions on the show, this is what you do. You hang out on our Discord channel, which can be found at www.themortalrealms.com/discord. And yes, you do hang out there every day. And yes, you do wait for me to ask if there's any questions for the episode. Sometimes it's about the story phase, but sometimes it's about weird shows like this, the one we're doing right now. And
so
I say, yeah, super weird. And then I ask you, hey, are there any questions you want to ask? You think to yourself, I sure do. You ask those questions, and then we answer them on the show, just like this. So Kieran asked a question before. Kugelfang is asking a question now. He wants to know what we thought our favorite lore was from this year. That's a new one. I haven't really thought about it before. So we're going back down the other way. Joshua, what was your favorite lore?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think, there's been a lot of really cool stuff changing in the storyline, but I think one of the highlights I had is in the Broken Realms series. When Grugni becomes more involved and kind of like faces off against Be'lakor on the Kahadran ship. I thought that was pretty sweet.
He is a strong, forceful fellow, that guy. He has gravitas, that dude, for sure. Hey, David, did you have a favorite lore that you wanted to chat about?
Yeah, I don't know if this is permissible, but as we've already established, there's no rules. But Arcanauts Oath, the I really enjoyed that book.
Very good book.
I'm just going to say, I want to highlight the fact how strongly I stress that you read the book as if it took some insight to know that you would like it. It was one of the most obvious things in the world that you were going to like it. Someone who had never met you probably would guess that you would like it. So there's that.
But I had said I liked it, so therefore Davey had to be very suspicious.
Yeah, well, gosh, there were 2 books in a row because it was Kragnos and that you liked that I also liked. And I was like, I don't know what to believe anymore.
Brown, black is white.
But it's been what I've been hoping for a long time, which was kind of a deeper dive into what it, Caradron overloads are popped up a lot of times, but a lot of times they are like, we're here to provide a ship for this other group of people to fly somewhere. And this was a deeper dive, and it had some of that, who's your favorite guy? Why am I forgetting?
Hamilcar.
Has some of that Hamilcar vibe, a braggadocious protagonist, and it was just fun. So that I think might have been the piece of lore, piece of background that I enjoyed the most this year.
Do you want to hear something crazy?
I do.
So my son has to read for school.
Oh
read
my God!
So that's crazy.
Yeah, I know, right? So I handed him Argonaut's Oath, and he's read through half of it in 2 days. And he gave me one of the best quotes I've ever heard. He was like, "Yeah, Dad, I got to the point where one of the characters died in the book." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah. What did you think?" He's like, "Oh, well, it's not an Age of Sigmar model unless some of the characters die. I mean, come on." I was like, "Okay, all right. I'm good at this." So
right on. That tracks. That makes sense. Hey, Paul, since you've got the mic, I'd love to hear what your favorite bit of lore was from the old past year.
I love the Thondia book for multiple reasons. Number one, because it had a ton of Path of Story stuff in it, and that's awesome. And then number two, I love just kind of the deep dive into the continent itself. I love the not necessarily following a story. We're just going to kind of explore and see what's going on in this area. But number three, ironically, twist it the opposite way. I love the story that was in Thondia because it was the first time that I can recall when they took a box set, namely the box set starter for 3.0, and continued the story that was in that box set in another publication for GW. And so if you bought Dominion, Thondia continues the story of Dominion with the 2 characters from Dominion, and they continue to move forward through Gur. And I just thought that was super cool that they actually tapped into their own lore and didn't be like, "Oh, we made the book, you read it, we're done with it now. Oh, actually, we're going to move this forward." And then they keep perpetuating the story. And I thought that was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. More on that in a little bit. Sneak preview. Hey, Eric, what was your favorite lore?
So I have this fanfic. Just kidding. I don't have a fanfic.
I got it.
I don't believe you.
Right out of your mouth. Yeah.
I guess just sidestepping again, I think it's the setting of the Gnarlwood. And some of it has to do with just having a new location that it feels, I guess, they've tied it back to history. And, a long time ago, a ship crashed in the woods and nobody heard it scream. And so just having fun with that. And then kind of a side of that, not joking aside, is our league, a number of our members are all engaging in kind of creating lore for their own games and stuff. So set in the Gnarlwood. So I've just really been enjoying kind of the personal side of the lore within our group. So, yeah.
Hey, Evan, lore me up. What was your fave lore this year?
The thing that I've been getting a lot out of has been when I go through the codices, battle tomes. There goes my brownie points. When I go through the battle tomes, I find that they are tying the stories back in together. So if you miss parts of the Broken Realms or you miss parts of these things, they're all in it together. And the perspective they've been writing the battle tomes from is just fun. And I think that as far as the lore goes, that tying up of things and the perspective switch gives me a lot of inspiration for when I'm playing a game, I can, tamp my flag and be like, "Oh yes, yeah, your god is real for sure, Sigmar. Yeah, oh yeah." But when was the last time he gave you mutant arms? Giant tentacle monsters? Anybody? No. Oh, that's ours. And it's just kind of cool to have those perspectives. The line, in the Disciples of Zeech book where it says there is only but one master in all of the Spiral Crux. And I was like, oh, yes! Like, plant that multi-tentacled flag right in the ground. And then I'm looking forward to actually the next book. I just picked it up, was Conquest Unbound, and I'm really excited to read that to kind of catch up. I know Thunderstrike, I think, came out last year, and the Broken Realms books, I think, came out last year as well, but I'm not sure. So I just like, those were amazing, and reading through those was super cool. The Thondia book, to Paul's point, also great. But going through the battle tomes and just kind of catching up with factions that I normally wouldn't have caught up with, right? Like I might have missed all of, I mean, you can't miss Lady Olander, kicking in teeth all the way through the Mortal Realm or Broken Realm series. But, you know, if you want to read what the rest of her crew is doing, it's in the Nighthawk book. And that's really neat too. You know, the advent of the Cruel Boys and what that's meant for the realms and Kragnos, and seeing, you know, the ripples of what happens with Kragnos' rise through the rest of the battle tomes and how they feel about it, how they react to it, has been really interesting. So just kind of seeing the culmination of it. I don't know if that's an answer, but that is the answer I got.
That is an answer, I guess. I'm sorry, it's not funny if you can't see my dramatic eye roll. No, I agree. I think, man, I wanted to come up with a new answer, but I think I'm probably going to steal two of the previous answers, which is to say Arkanat's Oath, great Black library story, and probably my favorite that I've read this year, Kragnos being a close second. But my actual favorite lore, I think, was probably the Thondia book, like Paul said. I think my favorite things that GW puts out in the Age of Sigmar are those, like the campaign books. So like think Broken Realms, think whenever a new edition comes out, those big box sets, like those real big tentpole event based stuff. Like I like them in my comic books. I like them in my Warhammer. And Thondia is probably the closest thing that we got this year to it. It didn't exactly live up to it, but it was pretty darn close. And like Paul said, it was a continuation of some story, which was fantastic. And also, I'd like that it was forward looking, I guess, on the Beastman side of things, and that it, you know, really highlights, I think, Morgur, that's funny. The idea being that like there's probably something going to be happening there, and I love when they give hints and tease like future events, and it really seems like that was like one of the only things that they released this year that really teased to some like one like larger overarching like thing that might be coming. I guess the Duarden stuff notwithstanding, and if the Beastmen book is coming out soon, which it sounds like it is, like maybe there'll be some continuation there. So all in all, that is probably my favorite, because those are my favorite types of releases that they put out. That's my jam. So there we go. Other lore worth highlighting that we missed that you guys want to talk about? You're right, we covered it. Good job. Speaking of, I guess, Gur, I feel like that's permeated a lot of our answers, because guess what? Gur has really been the name of the game for this past year. Darth Alec had asked us a question, and I thought it was a good one because we have so many cross-game folks, essentially cross-setting folks on the show tonight. But Darth Alec wanted to know what our favorite Gur coverage across the three main Age of Sigmar properties, across Warcry, Underworlds, and Age of Sigmar. What was our favorite Gur coverage, and why did your game do it better? So
okay, that's mean though, you know.
Loaded question, yeah.
So quick addendum here, Davey. I'm sorry if I'm stealing any thunder, but there was this whole thing that happened in Ulgu this year. Am I right? And that was super cool. And like, it was fun lore. It was fun stuff. Harrow Deep was a good book.
More like Ulgu.
Boo this man.
More like old cool. Am I right?
There we go. Now we go.
How about New Realm? Ulgu's this. Ulgu's this. There we go.
Ulgu's this. Mine is the best, he says. All right. No, I think I don't know. I think that there's a lot of really cool stuff that happened in Gur for Warcry, because the whole edition has taken place there now. And it hasn't really like wandered away, and I think that's pretty awesome. But I feel like Underworlds is like, we just went back to Gur. We were there for like a whole like season already. We did this Ulgu thing, and now we're back in Gur. So I feel like, you know, they get the been there, done that T-shirt.
We're there for a couple of years.
Yeah,
they came back.
Look who's back.
Right on. Eric, did you have an affinity to any of? I already know the answer, but an affinity to any version of Gur over the past year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we visited there a little bit with Thondia and Kragnos and that sort of stuff, and so we got a little bit, but yeah, more partial to the deep dive into the Gnarlwood. I haven't read enough of the Underworld's kind of cards and lore and stuff that's come on to know if what more to add there. But yeah, I have just really enjoyed. I kind of hope maybe this is something for the next thing, but yeah, I've just really enjoyed the little snippets as we've got new war bands for Warcry and how these war bands are surviving and thriving in the Gnarlwood and kind of what their role is in it. It's really kind of building up the space as a nexus of battle and war and destruction.
Very cool. Paul, did you have a preference to the Gurish representation this past year?
I would definitely go with AOS, because not only have we gotten the battle tomes, not only have we gotten Thondia, not only have we gotten the battles, the General's Handbook, but we've also gotten a lot of flashpoints and White Dwarf set in Gur as well. So we've just got a bunch of stuff for AOS, and then of course the novels as well tend to focus more on the AOS characters than on the other ones in general. Not as a rule, but there's just been so much that they have talked about Gur and the different places in Gur this year in all the different publications. This has been fantastic. White Dwarf has been putting out so many different little articles on different little armies and how they're situated for each of the specific places that they are in Gur and in Rondel and in Thondia. It's just been awesome.
Yeah, those flashpoints are pretty cool, I have to admit.
I should really read them. I have them. They're sitting right there. They're calling to me from a distance, but I don't ever get into them. David, hey, what about Gur this year drew you to it? What were some of your highlights? What do you like about Gur?
I will say I really like that AOS is doing this thing with the General's Handbook where they say, like, this is the area that we're going to be in, like the background's going to focus on this. And so, we have these rules for playing in here. Like I love how it brings the progression of the storyline or where the fiction is focusing into your games when you play. Like I like that innovation. As far as format, I really like the kind of emergent and like piece it together storytelling of Underworlds, where you're like, here's a little blurb in the book, but now like read these different cards, and maybe it's a card you haven't looked at in a while, and you're like, oh my gosh, like that tells me a little bit more about what it is to be one of the war bands in this area, or operating here, underneath the Gnarlwood, which is where the Underworlds thing is happening. But as far as like a cohesive thing and telling us something about Gur, I would say, I really like what Warcry put out. And I like that there's an arc that it's heading towards where, okay, like there's this crashed Seraphon starship city. And I like that we're going to head there, presumably, and that they've tried to tie it together across different places. Like if you look at Underworlds, the objective markers in Underworlds, they're all Seraphon fragments and artifacts and all that sort of thing. And so I like this cross-platform storytelling. That's a real fun thing that they are leaning into now. So that's pretty rad.
Yeah, that's convergence of the story into one place. That's kind of nice.
Because when we, cross paths after playing our own separate games, we can all say, Gnarlwood, am I right? And everybody knows what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then you take a sip of whatever you're drinking. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Josh, hey, what'd you think of Gur? What stood out to you?
Yeah, no, I think, I think Paul's right that the AOS portion with the Thondia book and all the White Dwarf support has really flushed out the area in a more substantial way than we had before. And we kind of ran our Dogs of Warcry event at Adepticon in Excelsis, kind of just like, okay, there's some Kragnos has been here. We're going to tell this story here. And then all this kind of followed after that. So that's been kind of fun too. It's like, oh, we kind of spearheaded this journey of Warcry into Gur. And then, then we got the second edition with the Gnarlwood and everything else. It's been kind of expanding that particular flavor. It's been fun.
Yeah, right on. Although I was bummed out that Warcry left the 8 points because I still feel like there's a lot to do there. I still think the Norwood has ended up being pretty cool, and I like the sort of the consistent, like I'm talking about the terrain that Eric was chatting about before, like seeing that consistent release, sort of like 3D contextualizes like this forest that we're reading so much about, which is fantastic. And then to reiterate what David was saying, like the idea that this is this, I don't know, or Josh said maybe the cross convergence of all these different like systems really contextualizes and sort of deepens the understanding of like a very small region, and like it gives you different, it makes it very multifaceted seeing it from like the 3 different game systems, which is super neat. Like it's this 3-dimensional aspect that we don't really often get a lot of, right? And so if they continue to do this, right, if this is a trend that they start doing, well, and this leads into a question after this, but if they start to do like really deep dives into these different settings and like what ends up being these infinite realms, I think that'll be cool to like really ground a lot of the stuff that we see from a setting perspective, which I'm really stoked about. In terms of just favorite, I will defect from my Age of Sigmar side of things and say I think the Warcry side probably did it best, because there's very little Kragnos involvement on the Warcry side, and I feel like I've talked about how I feel about Kragnos, and the Underworlds, although very cool, I think we said before, we were at Gur before. We don't need to come back. And so I look forward to going to a brand new place for everybody involved so that we can all have a clean slate to build from, which I'm excited to see more from. Cool. Other Gurish thoughts. Keep them clean. You guys want to share?
Well, it was going to be clean until you told me to keep it clean. And now
don't like being told what to do. Right on. There is no segues to any of these questions. If I were a better podcaster, I would transition much more cleanly than I am about to do. But Kieran, guess who's back again? Kieran's back. Tell a friend. He had another great question I want to chat about here, if we're going to be reflecting on this past year, which we're doing currently. And he asks, what episode are you most proud of being part of this year from any applicable Mortal Realms shows? So we're leaving the lore, we're leaving honestly the game a little bit. Let's talk about us as podcasters. We're not talking about us enough, frankly, and they're sorely lacking. The us is sorely lacking in this, and so let's talk about ourselves. Let's talk about some of the favorite episodes or like things that we've put out this year that you guys want to brag about a little bit. And Josh, tell me about the favorite thing you did as a content creator this year.
That's a tough one. And, we've had some fun episodes.
They're all so good.
I think the one I'll mention is the longest I think that we've had was on the narrative play for Into the Gnarlwood, and it was like a 3-hour edited episode. But it seems to be very popular. It's like our highest hitting numbers.
God.
Yeah, man, it was over like 4 hours and that editing that beast. Oh my God. But it was fun. We all, it was Vin, Eric and myself, and we all enjoyed the topic a lot and we had a lot to say, but yeah, it was a beast to edit, but it seems to have been a big hit.
Yeah. We got done. We were all surprised. We're like, wait a minute, what did we just do?
Right. It's almost midnight.
Well, and it was funny too, because we got through the end, and I was like, I'm still new enough at this. I was like, Josh will edit a bunch of this out. It'll only be like 2 hours still. And then I saw it get posted. I was like, oh no.
Right on. Cool. So, hey, listeners, if you haven't checked it out already, and let's be honest, I'm sure you have, go check out the narrative in the Gnarlwood episode, I think you said. Dogs at War.
Correct.
Scope it out. Hey, David, what was the favorite episode that you put out, or something like that?
Well, so as listeners will know that listen to the Mortal Realms, I am more of a listener to the story phase than I am a contributor at this point, except for the Pocket Realms, and I have really been enjoying those. It goes. Frequently said that sometimes I think some of the best fiction that they can do is in their short stories. And I believe that holds true. And I've really enjoyed doing those Pocket Realms with you on this. So I will say that. And then I will say for What the Hex, we just maybe it's a recency bias or maybe it's not, but our 92nd episode. So we've got 93 out. This was actually the year we caught up and passed the main cast for total number of episodes
Not
put
a
out.
competition.
I mean, you can just say past Aaron. You can just say past Aaron.
But we did one about running your own league and kind of growing and building your community. And that was spearheaded by some of our new members of the What the Hex team, Skylar in particular, but Skylar, Brian, and Josh came on. And the enthusiasm, energy, and willingness to go the extra mile for community is something that those guys brought to that episode. So all I had to do was just kind of, point the virtual mic in the direction of the right person at the right time. And they were able to put something that it's not one of those topics that is going to pull in, we'll get more listeners. I'm not a big numbers guy, but I do know that we get more listeners like when there's a new release or especially like a new season like that'll spike things. This is the kind of episode that may have lower listener numbers, but it's the kind of episode that I'm proud of because the people that it helps, it'll really help, it'll help them grow their community and it'll help grow the game. A game that I love, really enjoy playing. And so that for that reason, I'd pick What the Hex 92 in a league of your own as maybe the favorite thing that I put together. And by put together, I mean, I told Skylar to plan. It was a freaking nightmare to edit, but I got there. So and it was only because they had such an energy that they were talking over each other and laughing, and there was chaos that had to like get toned down a little bit. But that's the kind of work that's fine to put off. I'm going to see who else can I cut off. Who else wants to like try and make a comment? And I can jump in.
We're trying to cut you off. And all I was going to say is, don't they know that podcasting is a very serious business? There's no room for fun.
Yeah.
It was really important, and I got that joke out.
I was going to say, just pile on and say that there is that energy in there, but also like the type of game play and community you guys are promoting is also really important. And just really proud that you guys have created such a scene here locally. And it's cool just hearing that kind of go out, and hopefully other people pick up on that and follow along.
Yeah.
His was a nicer interrupt than mine was. Right on. And then furthermore, Davey, message received about the Pocket Realms. I get it. I'll schedule another one. Hear you loud and clear. All right. Hey, Paul, what was your favorite episode this year that you want to chat about?
I am really proud of the Path of Story bonus where we did the Seasons of Orthlandia. Like, that was a super fun episode to do. But it was also super exciting because I just didn't see anybody else really care about it because we only did the Path to Glory stuff. And to me, like, that's exactly what the book was for. And so it was something that we did that I just didn't see anybody else really get into or discuss that much. And so I was very happy to be able to do that with Will. And so I'd probably say that that's the episode that I'm most proud of last year. So.
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was fun.
Wow, very cool. Hey, Eric, what was your fave episode of the year?
Dogs of Warcry, Season 5, Episode 1, kicking off another season. I guess for me, it was just getting to get back in the seat, kick off the year, the season, and just looking forward to 8 episodes, 8.5 episodes, in our regular season. And yeah. And so that had maybe less to do with the content of it and more to do just, I don't know, feeling like the world is right again.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure feels like it. Very cool. Hey, Vin, you've been on a couple episodes this year. What was your favorite?
It was really cool just to join the team this year. When I got the call that I got to do a story phase, that was pretty exciting. This was the first podcast ever I had listened to was in the Mortal Realms.
Oh,
and so, yeah. And so it was really kind of, it felt like a really big deal that when Josh asked if I would join the Mortal Realms through the Dogs of Warcry, and then I got to be on a story phase for both the Slaves of Darkness and Disciples of Zeech, which are my 2 biggest armies. It was awesome. It's hard to find one specific, but being on the story phase was super cool, and then being parts of the Dogs of Warcry has just been outstanding.
Yeah, we told Vint it was maybe like 5 years before he could be on the story phase, but Aaron just went right over us. So
yeah. There was supposed to be some kind of preliminary wait list, I guess, but
No, initiation's coming. Don't worry.
Yeah.
good.
Your time differently at different places in the realm.
Yikes.
So yeah.
Good help.
Good news, everyone.
It's good that you said that because I had all queued up the hey everyone on this show, you've all been on the story phase this year. Anyone at all? But ironically enough, well, first of all, Vint, glad to have you on those episodes of the story phase. But ironically enough, we did some good story phases for sure. But I would say my favorite episode that we did is probably the Soulbound game that we did with Mr. Mephisto and Elaine over on Mephisto. I mean, it wasn't specifically on the Moral Realm, so I feel like we were the majority of those present. But it was just so different than what we normally do. In that, it really stood out to me, and we got to sort of collaborate with Mephisto. Obviously, have Elaine from Cubicle 7 running the game with us, which is so, fantastic. I had just tons of fun, and to actually have it like recorded, and so people can go see how much fun we were having really jumps out at me. And to some degree, really got the bug, and that I hope we can do more stuff like that going forward. I wasn't really sure how it was going to go. I'd never done anything like it before, and knowing that it could go as well as it did, and maybe even better. Like now that we have one under our belt, really has lit a fire in me to some degree. And now, of course, don't hold me to that, listener. You may never see me on a Soulbound show again, and through no fault of my own, but trust me when I say I would love to do more of it, and I hope that 2023 brings more opportunity. So, fingers crossed. And then, yes, story phase is pretty cool too, I guess.
but it's lost a little bit of its luster, right? Am I right?
Well,
If we're being honest,
we'll talk more about that later. I mean, not that specifically, but just generally. What is the story? Well, I don't know. Okay, moving on. Get out. Before we do the final cap of review, the final recap question that I want to ask, do you guys have other reflection type things you want to chat about the year of 2022 before we close it out? Not the episode, just this segment.
I was just going to mention that this past year really felt like it, kind of starting at the end of last year too, but Games Workshop has really channeled and moved the story, of the world building of the AOS quite a bit, and it's been a lot of fun to see and be part of that. They're starting to do some of that with 40K, it looks like, but it feels good that we've always been part of that evolving story, and we've had that going along, and it's kind of seeing these different weaves converging into one place and delving into Gur. It's been kind of a really fun year from model lore perspective.
Well, Josh, whether you knew it or not, that essentially is the final question that Guess Who Kieran asked us, and he's kind of long-winded, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. But the gist is that he wanted to know what our thoughts were about the state of, I guess you could say, the setting, or like the Age of Sigmar as a whole, as like a broad concept across all of their games. What do we have any thoughts as we reflect over the years about the state of the setting, the games, the systems? Kind of basically, can we echo what Josh just said? He had a really good answer to that question, I think. So, Josh, do you have other thoughts that you want to add, or should we keep going down the line?
I think I summed up what I wanted to say, so I'll let other people add to it.
Yeah, it was good. Bring impression. All right, David, what do you think, just sort of broadly, about the state of the game or games, and where we've come from?
Well, if you take the long view, where Eric and I and Mal for a short time were on board way back, at the start, it was like we don't know if Warhammer in a fantasy style setting is dead or not. Like, we think it's cool and exciting, but I don't know if enough other people will. And it's big now, right? Like, and I've obviously splintered off, people have splintered off into, but the thing is, like, there are games that have splintered off from Age of Sigmar, like Underworlds exists, Warcry exists, and like that's a sign that the setting is doing well if it can support these other types of games. So that's pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited to see, I was just thinking about the way the storytelling works with this game, it's pretty incredible that where we're at, where you can have this idea of a setting, a game where you can find like it's just expanded so much. I was thinking about the books and the fiction that I've read in it, and it's like the stories you can tell are as small or as big as you can imagine them being. And I love that there's a lot of places that they can head to. So big fan, real optimistic, I would say.
Yeah, I'll say again, I think the sign of things that things are healthy is that it can branch so much, that it can stretch and be what it needs to be for different types of players, that they can have games that are super crunchy, some that are super narrative and care less about balance. And you've got new cool models coming out, and they can, one off a hero, or, bring out a new unit for an army, or, I think we all drool over the Underworld's warbands that come out and feel real bespoke and cool. And we hope that continues, and that just keeps getting new and different. And I mean, I think it shows too in, we started with a lore podcast because that seemed like the thing people needed to connect to. But as it's all spread out, like we've spread out. So obviously I think we are the bellwether, right? That it's healthy. It's good.
No, they still need lore, you guys. Don't leave me.
Yeah. We're all lore fools. Don't worry.
We're all lawyers.
I do.
Yikes.
Hey, Paul. With that, you got to keep it rolling. What do you think about the state of things?
I think it's going great at the moment. We've gotten so many battle tomes released, which for me means that we have so many Path to Glories released, which is fantastic. I think they're one of the super cool things that really give a lot of character to the armies, where, like the Fire Slayers will have their Path to Glory focusing on Urgold, right? And it's super cool to have all this detail and all this narrative packed in. And as I said, we're starting to see these callbacks. When we did the Fondia book, there's the callback to Dominion, but then when we're doing the Warriors of Chaos, the Slaves to Darkness Battle Tome review, there were callbacks to all these other story threads. And one of the things that was a little bit hard was we had a gap there where we didn't have any Black Library stuff coming out really for a while. And then now this year, like it's been hard to keep up. I think I'm a couple books behind, and I've been able to read everything up to this point. And I'm like, okay, well, I've got to catch up on a couple books to like kind of keep current to what's going on. And then again, like I can't understate how awesome it is to have White Dwarf putting content that really expands upon the realms, expands upon the games. The last White Dwarf, they literally put a Path to Glory campaign in the White Dwarf that continued the story from the last box set, the Lumineth versus the Tzeentch. So if you like those characters and you like that story, well, go and buy the latest White Dwarf, and their story continues. I love that they seem to understand how to communicate between all the different departments and make everything work super well at this point. So there's a lot of Easter eggs and a lot of fun things to look at. So it's awesome.
Vint, tell me about your take on the state of things.
I like what everybody's been saying. It's a good framework. I am excited to indulge in some of the other realms, and I think one of the cool things with that is that, like, you see it, you can kind of follow it through Underworlds and the different realms that they go to. It sets a new scene and it sets a new thing. I mean, I've been playing a little Soulbound myself. It's pretty cool to be able to kind of like think about the different realms and the different places you can go as like almost a visitor in the realms. Like, what would it be like? And it gives you a lot of scope when you have, you're playing your Age of Sigmar game with your, 30 ogres or 40 ogres on the table, or 200 clan rats, like what that would actually look like, or in the case of Nurgle, smell like. and having a good beat on that, and still seeing things like in the Thondia book of different monsters and different things that could come out, even as models. As far as the games go, I think the rules, as far as they're getting, are cleaner. And I know we talk a lot about the lore. Just one of the things that I liked about the Slaves to Darkness book was that it felt Slaves to Darknessy, right? It felt like chaos, and the feel of the rules mirroring the lore closer and closer all the time just makes more for an engaging and inspired experience, regardless of what game system you're playing them in. Right.
I love that, because that's what you want. Like, we're playing this game because of the cool models. We're playing this game because of the cool lore. And when those things can kind of like coalesce into something on the table, right, that it pulls those pieces together, and it pulls players together that like are there for different reasons, and helps them enjoy it together. If they can all kind of bind together in a cohesive whole. And I feel like they're getting better and better at that. I really love that you landed on that as something to highlight.
Yeah, just the books in general line up so well, and they feel that way, and the feel of the game is important, especially when you're a new hobbyist too. And I think that's another part of it is I feel the hobby itself and the game systems themselves, as well as the lore, has become so much more palatable. For the person that hasn't read 37,000 books of backstory, they can jump in right now and pick up Dominion or Thunderstrike and be right on the same page as us. And jump into the Warhammer horror that takes place in the Mortal Realms. You've got so many good outlets to find your way here to the Mortal Realms, where you're going to have a great experience because it's built that way. And that's just really cool. So I can't help but look forward to where it's going.
Right on. You've touched on something I was going to bring up, in that it's sort of the diversification of like experiences to some degree. In that, looking back on 2022, what I call the most exciting year for like Age of Sigmar, or the types of releases and things that I'm most interested in, probably not. Like, there have been more exciting years in Age of Sigmar. Sure. However, the benefit these days is there's so many, I don't know, other opportunities to dive into different aspects of what like the entire setting as a whole, right? So although Age of Sigmar Prime hasn't been the most exciting year, it's been an exciting year for Warcry. Underworlds is still a consistent churn of exciting things that come out, right? These unique warbands and unique settings and things of that nature. And so, like, even if Age of Sigmar needs to take a breather for a hot second, which I feel like 2022 kind of felt like to some degree, much of it, you can take a breather there and still dive into any number of other interesting things. Because they have these other game systems, other avenues, other outlets. I mean, Soulbound had so much stuff coming out as well. So it allows you to sort of jump around and spend time in different places with different settings, I'd say rule sets as if I played things, but it never keeps you in one place for long, which is great. And I know whether next year or the year after that, there are going to be these big groundbreaking like macro events at the Age of Sigmar that I can return to them. I'm looking forward to coming back up. So I know you can sort of trust that there will be ebbs and flows, but everything has these ebbs and flows, and you can ride the ebbs or flows. Flows are the good ones, depending on where your attention's at. So I think that's definitely pretty exciting. One other thing I was going to say is that when people ask me, who don't really know Warhammer, ask me about my podcast, first of all, I lie to them and say I don't have a podcast. Where did you hear that I heard a podcast? Or that I do a podcast?
You slap that out of your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Inevitably, it's my wife. And I have to talk to her again. And I have to say, sweetie, we talked about this, but this doesn't come out. But it's interesting to me that the community that we sort of at the Mortal Realms, or just broadly the Age of Sigmar community, is so large enough to like have the community that we've developed based off of the interests that I have in Age of Sigmar, which is like lore and narrative. I found so many like-minded people who are into a fraction of a game system that is the younger brother of a much larger, interesting, more involved game system that is tabletop wargaming. Like, it's a niche of a niche of a niche of a niche, and yet we still have the volume of people to like always like chat about or chat with and discuss this. So like when I think about the state of Warhammer, we're as, to some degree, as niche as it gets, and yet there's such a volume of people and of great like diversity of opinions and thoughts and like hobby involvement and things of that nature. And so because of that, I think the state of Warhammer looks great because of the fans of Warhammer, and the fact that we can keep we keep doing this and still have a community to like reach out to and to be reached out to, I think speaks volumes about that. Yeah, the Age of Sigmar setting as a whole. Other final reflection thoughts about that, or other topics that you guys want to talk about before we start looking forwards a little bit?
One of the things I like is that all the systems are in the same place now.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah.
And that's it. I love that we're all in the Gnarlwood, we're all in Gur, that's cool.
It does introduce sort of like common language across all the different games that we can all speak to. I'm sure what you guys were saying before, like Gnarlwood.
Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, I think back to, close your ears, Aaron, but I think back to my 40K days, and you would have this idea of like doing a game that like spanned across Battlefleet Gothic and spanned across Warhammer 40K and Epic, and like I'm gonna put all these things together and have a like in the same setting, and like that is available to you now. Like there, you could try to set up, and maybe we do at some point, like some cross-platform thing where you have like, hey, there's some Underworlds games going on for like the smallest scale stuff, but it has this impact on the other games, and then this is what's happening in Warcry, and then this is what's happening in Age of Sigmar or whatever. Like,
the Path to Glory, then the bigger.
Yeah,
games.
Path to Glory. Sure, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So you have like this way where you are playing different games, so you could bring those communities together because they have something that's tying them together. And I think that's a pretty clever. Clever is almost like too clinical or cynical of a way of talking about it, but like it is a really cool unifying element.
I was thinking uniting, like
yeah.
we're all under the same banner, and that it kind of means that even because it could go where like, oh, you play Underworlds, we play Warcry, and that's a divide. But putting us all in the same setting and just giving us like similar notes to play off of.
Yeah, like if I pull somebody from your Warcry league over to try out a game of Underworlds, and they see that like, hey, you're in like there's the boards that we're playing on have these nasty gnarl oaks on them, and like all the feature tokens have, again, like I was just talking about, like we're fighting over lost Seraphon artifacts. Like that's a thing where like, oh yeah, all right, cool. I can attach my previous experience to that, and vice versa. Like guys that are playing Underworlds who may not even know that they're fighting over Seraphon artifacts. If they're doing that, if they go try out Warcry, they're like, whoa, like why does this terrain all look like the boards that I play in Underworlds? Like that. Right. That is a great way to like mutually build community.
And here's my fear. We love it so much that they'll never do it again.
It's really good integrative storytelling, though. So hopefully they'll continue it in some aspect.
So I've got a question for the class then, too. With this, I mean, we have people that do Age of Sigmar on this podcast, and we have people who do Underworlds, and we have people who do Warcry. I think I'm in like lots of narrative focus here. I feel like we could actually set up an event at some point where we do just this thing. We should
1, 2, 3, not it.
Nose goes.
So what I was thinking was that I would set up an event.
Sweet.
Who better than the Moral Realms? Nobody else can do it. I'm sure plenty of people can do it. No offense to anyone.
Tri-system 4-day narrative grand tournament.
Let's do it.
You put it out in the
A
universe.
lot of things. Not scared.
All right. Well, hey, we're kind of talking to the future. We're kind of looking to the future now. All of a sudden, hey, what a good segue, everybody! It's like you did this on purpose.
So natural.
Yeah. All right. So
don't be fooled.
In utterly no particular order, just a hodgepodge of additional questions. Let's start with this one. I would love to hear what you guys expect to see in 2023. Now, this is a prediction. Accuracy counts. Keep your well, no, I was going to say keep your pie in the sky out of here, but that's not true. I feel like some people like it.
Paul is incapable of doing that.
Yeah,
we know this.
You can't make up these rules. These rules didn't exist in 2019.
And in fact, Kieran probably is requesting it specifically. So I'll ask. You all can just decide to what degree your pie is in the sky. But what do you expect to see in 2023? I'm curious to know. So we're going to go backwards up from the bottom. Starting from the bottom, now we're here. Vint, what do you expect to see in 2023?
Malarian, ha!
Beat me.
Plant your flag. Yeah.
I also think Chaos Dwarves.
Yes, beat me again.
And I think a new Stormcast hero that's not Yndrasta.
Because it would be weird if it wasn't Joshua, because, like, sure.
He already has a model for sure, but, like, you know, it could be Yndrasta Prime, and you could put her on a Celestine Prime stand or something. No, I think another thematic hero for Stormcast.
Okay, very cool. Well, I've got you. So those are what your predictions are. Do you have anything that you like want to see though, that maybe you don't necessarily is likely, but like what do you also wish to see in 2023? Is it that list as well, or are there other things that like you hope that come out that, you know, hope against hope might arrive next year?
You know, 2022 was the year of Vince checklist getting checked all the way through. We didn't get just Darko Savagers, we got Darko Savagers and an Underworlds team. We didn't just get, you know, a refresh on the Zeech Mortals. We got a new Changeling. We got, I mean, a new Demon Prince. It was everything. Everything I wanted pretty much just showed up. So if you guys have things you want me to want for next year, let me know.
Frankly, it'd be greedy for you to want anything else, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, with the advent of new Khorne models in Warhammer 40K, I think maybe some new Khorne models would be really cool. And that's just because I really like Khorne and the Blades of Khorne models and everything after reading the Red Feast. Like I said, I'm catching up. Really made me like a hardcore Khornate. Last podcast for Vint. But I really do like.
And if bad puns got you kicked off this cast, there would be nobody left on here.
That's what we're known for.
A ghost cast sailing through the airways.
But those are the things I'd look forward to. I'd really like to see some new Khorne models. I think Malarian and the Chaos Dwarves would be things that are very real, very likely to happen. But I think it'd be cool to see some new Khorne sculpts, just because they did such a bang up job with the last group of them that I think they would do a great job with these ones too. So
it only follows.
Follows.
All right, Eric, tell me your predictions, wild or otherwise, but then maybe throw in a wish list there if for whatever reason the lists are different.
All right. So we know that Cities of Sigmar is coming out near the end of next year, maybe end of the summer or fall. In a reasonable, like what I think they're going to do is they're going to refresh. I think they're going to refresh all the kits. So like there's not going to be a metal or fine cast left standing.
Ooh.
And the reason I think that is because they're showing us stuff early. So I have this feeling that they're going to kind of go wild with it a little bit in terms of the number of kits. In addition, what I would love them to do, similar to what they did for the Stormcast, when like maybe year 2, where they came out with different shields for the different hosts, that like we've had this emphasis on these different cities for years now. Anvil Guard, which, well, I guess maybe not that one, but I'm blinking. Tempest Eye, and yes, Greywater Fastness. That they bring some ability to flavor your army to those through the kits. So I don't know if that'll be each kit has a little bit of, you know, a few options, or if they have, you know, like through Forge World and Necromunda, where they'll come out with those expansions and that sort of thing. To go a step further, what I don't think they're going to do, and I wish they would, because the Cogfort stuff has caught my imagination the most, and I think a lot of people are on that Cog train. I would love a 4-part Realmscape where you get terrain that's all separate, but you could put it all together into one Cogfort. So like the Gloomtide Shipwreck, you know how it comes in like multiple pieces, but you can kind of put it together and it's a single, you know, ghost ship or whatever. It's dumb. It will never happen, but I think it would be, as we get to like, we've had 2 sets for the Gnarlwood. So you put all those together and you've got a pretty dense forest. We think that for the next 2 boxes of or cry that we may get Talaxis stuff. And so you could put together a pretty cool Seraphon board.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to have multiple Realmscape boxes of terrain where you could put together some sort of like a small cog fort or something like that and put it on the table. But that's my wish. That's my hope.
Very cool. I wish that for you. Paul, tell me about your predictions / wish list. It doesn't have to be in
And
that order.
why is it halflings riding goats or whatever the crazy?
Oh, no.
No answers.
That was Halfling Geomancers, and it was 50% correct. Don't give me that.
Agree to disagree.
They were half Teclis, half Tyrian Geomancers. They were literally half correct. So, anyway.
Wow.
Well, all right.
Wow. All right.
Half Tyrian, half Teclis.
If you're going to survive in the world,
literally the realm itself, they're Geomancers. They lift rocks and throw them at people, like literally in Broken Realms. They lifted up parts of the realm.
I'm gonna offer a listener poll as to how many listeners agree with Paul's uncritical self-assessment here.
As if this was going to make it into the final episode. I can't. I'm joking.
So yeah, I think it'll be fun to see terrain for Talaxis. That'd be super cool. We don't have many non-cities faction-specific terrain. We don't have many faction-specific terrain for cities either at this point. But like, I would love to see some of that. I always enjoy seeing stuff like that. I would love to see more coming out for the Gloomspite Gits. I know we've seen a unit of Wolf Riders, but I'm hoping that there's more to come. I always want more spiders, but I don't think we're going to see spiders this year. So. I'm hoping we see some more god level figures. Like we just had that new figure for 40K. I'm hoping we're going to see something like that for AOS as well. I'm not exactly sure where that's going to come from, but it'd be super exciting and super fun to see that. So I guess it's not that crazy this year. I'm sorry.
Did you say that's it? Paul,
Yeah, I know.
are you okay?
He's saving it for later.
I guess. Oh, man, now I'm bummed out. All right, Davey.
He said no spiders. Is this Paul? Is this really Paul?
What
I
happened?
want them. I just don't see them happening.
Are you okay? Do you need help?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not getting spiders.
Centaurian
We're
has
getting
8
the
appendages. He was
Yeah.
excited about
Blink
that.
twice if. Hey, Davey, come up with just the most outlandish, craziest prediction for me.
You are asking the wrong person,
That's the
Yeah.
joke, dude.
That's the
Underworld
joke.
goes to full armies.
On
Hexes.
Oh, no.
Please no. So, and this is partly inspired by really enjoying Arcanauts Oath, but I feel like the Overlords are due for a kind of big splash. Their line is super cool, but also super limited. Like if you count up the number of war scrolls they have available, and then set aside ships and heroes, like there's almost nothing there. And I think that there is room for like several more units or several more ship types, or like a really dramatic. I know like the Ironclad is really cool, but you're always reading about these, like I'm always reading about these battleships, like these bigger craft. Like, man, it would be pretty spectacular. And if I'm going to piggyback off of previous predictions, then maybe Grungni finds a way to become represented in the realms. Like he is stated as having become more active, and so maybe we see him, and there's some kind of uniting thing with Duarden units or something like that. But that's where I'm leaning, and I'm although I was a little shaken up, a little disappointed to like have the previous seasons of Underworlds, like the last two, Nether Maze and Harrow Deep, like they're not retcon necessarily, but like they just kind of got maybe a little bit written out of existence. Like they're not mentioned in the Gnarlwood book, so I'm not clear how they fit into everything. It is really cool to be mirroring the bigger game, and that makes me more engaged in where the bigger game is going too. So, wherever it's going, like I'm looking forward to Underworlds following it.
Fine. I'll make a crazy prediction.
Thank you, please.
Please.
Thank God.
We're gonna get more time this year, and it's gonna come from Forge World.
We're gonna
All
Mordheim.
these
Okay.
super cool small little figures.
We got it. We got it.
For Necromunda, and we're gonna
There's
actually
that
see
spark.
something.
There you go.
That's why those listeners tune in. Gosh.
I love it. Thank you so much. Josh, I don't know how you're going to follow that one up. Tell me, what do you think is coming? What do you hope is coming?
Well, I have to echo what Vince said. I definitely think Malarian, Chaos Dwarves are probably coming. Just a question to you all: when is Old World supposed to launch? Does anybody have any ideas? Has that changed a lot? Because I'm a big fan of the Kislev aesthetic, and I would love it if that actually came out, and I could use the Kislev for like some Cities of Sigmar sort of war bands. But
Sure.
I don't actually know.
I haven't seen a hard actual thing saying when.
yeah, it keeps changing, and then there's like nothing. So I wasn't really sure. But so in terms of outlandish predictions, I mean, obviously we know we're going to get 2 more sets of Warcry and Gur.
Real outlandish.
I'm really hoping that one of them will kind of reintroduce the catacombs sort of aesthetic as we're in the ruin and we're fighting each other, or maybe it'll be more like Blackstone Fortress, sort of like, or sort of like city type campaign, like taking place in the ruin. I think that would be really fun to do.
Like a Warhammer quest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, and hopefully they'll introduce some more of those kind of things, but I don't know if they would tie that in. But
They talk about traps and stuff a lot, right? And I feel like the catacombs, like space, lends itself to traps more than like the open, like forest stuff that we've got currently.
Yeah, instead of like a twist or something like that. I agree. I definitely, we're definitely getting Beasts of Chaos. So I'm really intrigued to see if Morgur will get more of a, will be, what's the right word? Reincarnated or born into the AOS realm. That would be kind of interesting to see if that happens.
Yeah, especially with like a shit starting to be a thing now, right? Like we're getting these other sub chaotic like evil gods kind of. And somebody actually asked a question about this, but I didn't add it to the list. But like maybe there's going to be a diversification of like these sort of chaosy more gods as well. That would be cool.
Yeah, well, lesser gods are getting more attention.
Yeah. Any further predictions that you want to add?
No, I don't think I have any predictions other than that.
I think we've covered a lot of the obvious ones. Chaos Dwarfs, maybe. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be this year, but this year or the year after, soon. Chaos Dwarfs, Malarian, those are like loose threads that will almost assuredly be tied up at some point.
I mean, I'm going to jump in here. Like I'm also on board with maybe Malarian, but like we were on release, like Eric, I don't know if you remember like reading through that original book. We're like, oh, cool. Like Malarian, like he's going to come along at some point. Probably, I don't know, maybe next year, like 5 years later, like where is this dude? What is he doing?
Right.
Well, that's why in the one of the Discord chats, I was like, yeah, Grimnir, or is it Grungni? Who's the fiery one? Grimnir. Like, we'll get a model for him in 5 or 6 years. Like, I'm no longer talking in like years. You got to talk half decades at this point.
Yeah. We were talking about like in the Discord actually what gods are even like on the table in terms of who could get models. And for a while there, I would have thought that anybody could, but like as we spend more time with it, I'm starting to think that like there's actually only a slice of the gods that could ever get a model. Gorkamor will never get one because like it's ironic that the Slaves of Darkness just brought up the fact that like he's a different breed than some of the other Pantheon gods, and that he's more of a primal like force like the Chaos gods are than any of the other like ascended gods of like the Order or other like Pantheon.
I think he's having too much fun as like an incorporeal god. Like, that's my take on it.
Absolutely. So to some degree, I would think like you would compare Gorkamorkan and a Gash historically, I would have compared the two and that they filled similar roles. But as time goes on, it starts to occur to me that they are not the same. And just because Nagash has them on doesn't mean that Gorkamorka would. So Grogny being on the table, sure. Tyrion as well. I mean, these are things that are, again, loose threads that could be this year or, like we said, could be 6 years from now. I don't know that anybody's brought up the idea that having another Season of War box, I think, might be on the table, or gosh darn it, it really should be. Like, you can't put a prefix on a box like that, Season of War Thania, and then not continue them. And I don't know if that requires changing the setting, like once all of the game systems wrap up in the Norwood and like Gur, like is the next season of Warbox not going to come until like we shift the camera? Maybe, I don't know, but hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. Because like I said, that was probably my favorite thing that came out this year. So that type of stuff is my bread and butter. And then, yeah, I echo a lot of some of the other grounded predictions that you guys made as well. Other predictions?
I'll throw out a wild one.
Please do.
We have this new precedent where Warcry has 4 boxes and it has a season, so to speak. So I guess my wild prediction will be that, okay, so after 1 year, after all 4 boxes are out, we're done in Gur. Maybe we move to Ulgu, and maybe that's when Malarion and everyone pulls out. Maybe that's when Warcry and everything moves back to Ulgu or something.
Tell me, what terrain do you think we'd see in that box? What does like Ulgu terrain look like?
I mean, obviously, Ulgu it's got normal terrain. It's just there's a lot of illusion and other things like that. So really, you could do anything. I think you can get away with like really unique statues or rocky terrain, and it's like, oh nope, you thought it was rocks, it's trees, haha. Whatever.
You got me, Ulgu. Always tricking me.
Oh, there's a pit. Hey.
Yeah,
of shades.
There we go. Oh,
hey, Josh, you did it again. You predicted the next question that I was going to ask, Darth Alec, and also I believe Harry would ask something similar. But the question on the table then is next realm. Where will we go? Okay, actually, I had to butcher his question a little bit. He wanted to know when we were going to switch, and I don't think we know the timing. But I'm curious where people think we're going to switch the camera to, whether it's a different realm or something else. You mentioned Ulgu. Do you have other realms, or should I ask the rest of us what they think the next target's going to be?
I mean, I think we've been in every other realm except Ulgu, really. I mean, like as a focus, with the battle tomes or anything. So, I guess, we do have the, Morathi and all that. They are in Ulgu. But I feel like we haven't really explored that realm a lot. And I think that's definitely someplace we'll be heading to, although there are hints that Chaos Dwarves will show up in Gur. So, okay, well, how long are we going to be in Gur? It's hard to tell at this point.
So I think you are picking the most likely. I think that is where it's at. I think if not the next realm, I think somewhere not too far down the line, we're going to do some battling the Azir. I think we're going to get dragon ogres back in a big way. And I think they're going to be reborn in Azir / somebody's going to find a way to break back into Azir and get that realm into play. And you talk about, we don't know much about Ulgu, but we also don't know all that much about Azir, really, right. other than the Sigmar Ambulum and the main headquarters. But as a greater realm, like we don't have a lot in the way of information. So Ulgu, yes, but dark horse choice, Azir.
There's my big predictions from Davey. I knew you had it in you.
I wonder if they'd tie that at all in with the cities of Sigmar, kind of pouring out of Azir or anything like that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Absolutely.
I wonder if we're going to ever get to the gloaming and have Slaanesh be freed and like literally have battles trying to figure out if we're going to free Slaanesh.
You're talking like Storm of Chaos style? Like, what does this worldwide campaign? I think they might have learned their lesson there.
Well, I mean, my issue with Ulgu and the gloaming are sort of like the 40K setting with the void of chaos. Like, do you need to have one place that's unexplored, or is always that here be monsters kind of feeling? So,
yeah.
So do they always get kind of? Do we always hope for Ulgu and never get it? Sort of thing. I don't know.
I think as an entire realm, like we have to get it at some point. But I really like the point about like needing that. Like, one of the great things about this setting is that there is so much like that you don't know. Like there's so much room to create in, and as long as they can find a way to have that exist, even in the realms, like we've only mapped out parts of each realm, then I think that piece stays alive. But I really like the sentiment of keeping the unknown available for people. Yep.
It allows for expansion and creating your own aspect of that particular realm. Yeah.
Sure. Eric, did you have a place or a destination that you'd like to see sort of the combined settings shift to?
mean, like everybody said, we've sort of traveled different places through the Broken Realms. We got to see more of Hish, and I guess Hish is. It's weird. It feels like they've populated every single area of Hish. Hish doesn't seem as expansive as other realms, but maybe I'm missing something there. So yeah, I mean, and I'm trying to think through. I mean, we spent a lot of time in Shyish with the Necroquake and that sort of thing. So I feel like most places we know pretty intimately. Yeah, I can't imagine. That being said, I think there's probably always someplace new they could create in one of the other realms. We could go back to Akshi and have a new setting where the Chaos Dwarves could come out of instead of Gur, but who knows? I guess I don't have a good prediction on this. I like the idea of Olgu.
Sure. This is maybe probably one I should just ask who's got some ideas as opposed to throwing it to individuals. So I'll open it up a little bit. Do folks have other realms that they hope or predict that we're going to go to after Gur that they want to talk about?
I think we're going to go to Cayman. I think we're going to go to Shimon, however you pronounce it. Shimon. And the reason for it, right? We just had a big event with Baelacor there, and I think it's got some play in the next few codices, right? With KO coming out soon. Right. I think we'll probably go to Ulgu. That would be where I bet my money. But just to diversify, I'll say Shimon.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to these Dawnbringer Crusades? Are we going to keep going? Are we going to stop? Like, what's going to happen to them? Or are they going to push the story forward?
Only time will tell.
Right. And they're technically, one of the lore aspects is it's technically taking place in Gur, right? Or they actually have Dawnbringer Crusades
all
in other
over.
realms.
Yeah, I think they're everywhere.
They're all over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was one thing.
Everywhere, man.
Yeah. So I think it's their way to introduce humanity and the cities of Sigmar to various realms to give them the story hooks. But yeah, I think that'll continue as an aspect. But
yeah, that makes sense to me. Like that they've told the story of humanity or mortals being stuck inside the cities, right? And that this is the way that they go out, and so this is just how they operate now.
Yeah.
it's a new hope.
I think the Battle Tome coming up for cities or Dawnbringers, whatever they end up calling them, will be sort of a big event in and of itself. But I think we've seen the effects of what they're going to be like already to some degree, which, I mean, not to be pessimistic about it, but like I think it's probably going to be a reiteration of what we're already seeing about the Dawnbringer Crusades, and that they go out trying to forge new cities. Most of them then get destroyed, and sometimes they're successful. And like it'll be just sort of a version 2.0 or like 1.5 of that story is my prediction. But as far as realms go, I'm thinking Hish is probably on the table. Actually, Eric, you'd mentioned it before, if for no other reason, because I'm curious to see what terrain means like in Hish, and that like if we do a similar release sort of schedule or cycle, I think we hear stories about it, and it's sort of talked about it in the books, but we haven't really physically been there all that much. I feel like I haven't had as much like boots on the ground as much. And I think it's prime opportunity to do so there. And I think it's an opportunity to tell like different types of like stories than what we've been telling. Like,
yeah, well, eventually Tyrion will come out, and whatever additional units he'll have.
Yeah, exactly. So I think like surviving in Gur is although unique to some degree, it's still like surviving against a wilderness that wants to kill you. Like that story's been told a lot, just maybe ramped up to 11 a little bit in Gur, but like stories in Hish have their own style and like their own like bent, and I think that offers a certain element of uniqueness. Anyways,
so how is the Realm of Life making Gur go crazy? How is that going to be counteracted? How are we going to see that? Because we've had the Necroquake, and that was counteracted by the Rite of Life, and now we have this whole craziness with Gur. So what's going to counteract those two things? What are we going to see next?
Like, if not counteract, I think maybe another way to say is like, what is the response?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like Alariel's Bloom was the response to the Necroquake. So like, what is the next big response?
Exactly.
Gosh, good question. I mean, if you think Dawnbringer Crusades, I don't know that has the oomph to do it. So yeah, what tames the wild beast? I don't know. Is there a realm of music?
Is the industry of the Chaos Duarden?
Oh, sure.
Ooh, I could see that.
Capitalism is capitalism what does it?
I mean, that would be a KO storyline for sure.
Sure. This is a drawn out joke that makes no sense. The Chaos Warden come and start charging everybody $8 for what used to be free. That was dumb. I knew it as soon as I said it. All right. So definitely some
Hope
thoughts.
you're proud of yourself.
I'm never not. All right. So other, I don't know, setting prediction based stuff, whether it's realms or stories or lore, before we change gears a little bit. We'll talk about us again. Any thoughts?
Oof, thank God.
Yeah, right. It's
been almost too long before we talked about ourselves.
Second, I want to know more about you guys. Huh? I want to get down to.
I guess there's one thing,
There's just one thing that's been bothering me.
Yeah, exactly. In the realm of Thondia, like the book that came out, they described a lot of people, even Stormcast, like turning into beasts. I would love it if they expanded on that in the new Beasts of Chaos book coming out or something, like having different, some of the Stormcasts are turning into lion type creatures or dragon type creatures, or, it would be really cool if you had some variety. I'm hoping for
I'm tired of goats.
Get out of here, goats.
Greatest
no one likes you.
all-time my butt.
That's pretty good. No, absolutely correct, and that's a prediction I hadn't thought of before. That's fantastic. That the Beastmen book ought to speak on that for sure. All right, let's talk about us, guys. The real stars of the show, so to speak. A question from our friend Stone Monk Gamer, something like that. I think Eric wanted to ask us. Generally we talk about our goals.
I don't remember what my question
for 2023, but specifically you want to know about New Year, New Army, or Warband. So
bring it back to hobby.
Yeah, I'll ask you guys broadly. Do you have things that you want to accomplish in 2023? But if you want to talk about any new armies or new warbands or things that you're working on, make sure you throw that in there too. So Vint, tell me about what your personal goals for this next year are going to be.
So for me, it's I just turned 36. So 3 + 6 is 9. So everything I do this year is going to be Zeech themed. Was the challenge I was leveled at, and I accepted. So it's going to be a ton of Zeech stuff, which is going to be wild because there's exactly I think one option for Underworlds that's. It's gonna be awesome, Davey. I'm excited to start showing up with the Eyes of 9, and
I got some bad news for you.
A better warband might still end up with the same results. I can only play Celestis so long, but no, it's been exciting so far. It does mean that I'll be diving into. Because Slaves to Darkness can use the mark of Zeech and then be Zeechian too. So it gives me more reason to get a ton of reps in and a ton of differential things with my my options for both Warcry and Underworlds and Age of Sigmar. So I'll be doing a lot of that. I'm going to try and get through. I posted a poll on the Mortal Realms a few months ago, and I had a hard time locating them, but I finally found some with the help of one of our folks that plays in League with us. Joe Alexander went and got me a box because he was driving around and found one. So I have a box of Corvus Cabal, and I'll be putting those together shortly after an event I'm doing this weekend to get them ready for some craziness and Gur. And I'm going to definitely make them Zeechian because, right, they've got the bird face. It kind of works out. But it'll be a lot of fun. So everything this next year for me is going to be Zeech themed, plain and simple. So it works out well. I did my inventory, so I'm over about 10,000 points, Age of Sigmar style for Disciples of Zeech, and over that for Slaves to Darkness as well. I have so many Raptorics. Anybody that was at our event last year, I have so many Raptorics. There are birds everywhere. But I'm very excited to get into it, and it's going to be a fun year. Very much looking forward to it. I'm also going to be going out and traveling to a lot of events. So as events come up, feel free to throw them into the correct chat that Aaron will tell me now. But I would love to go to your event, barring it's not in Australia like somebody posted this week.
Right, I saw that.
Super down.
How cool would that be, though? Yeah.
Right? Like nothing quite like flying across the world to play some awesome like I feel like if I'm gonna play a game in Australia, I've got to play Underworlds, right? I'm doing the Underworlds down under, right? It's gonna be awesome. Down under. So if I do travel to Australia ever to play games at their Adepticon Aussie, I think then I'm gonna have to sign up for the Underworlds event and the Warcry event. But
I'm so sorry, all of our Australian listeners. I apologize.
But I want to be there.
I would apologize now.
But no, I think that'd be a lot of fun, and I will be at events. So please post them in the Discord so I can come and meet you guys on the field of battle, whatever size event that is, be it Age of Sigmar, Underworlds, or Warcry. We can write a narrative together where you beat up my Eyes of Nine for the 87th time. But that's my goal.
We know you're not a good ringer.
I'm a terrible ringer.
All right, Eric, your turn. What's your big plans for 2023? Yeah, tell me about it.
I am going to try and exhaust my Cities of Sigmar imagination with my Cogfort Warband. It may get. I'm hoping I can get a few things that I'd love to do. I'd love to build my own Cogfort out of things, but we'll see if we go that far. But yeah, so I just want to exhaust that, see where I can go.
Or pitch you a Cogfort table, man. We can play on that thing.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
Right on. Very cool. Paul, your turn. What do you got going on this year?
I would like to finish painting Archaon and then paint another army. So I think those are my 2 goals for the year.
Do you know what army? Can you tell us?
I've got like 6 that I'm trying to decide between. So no, I can't.
How many of those armies are spider armies?
Only like 2.
8 out of the 6.
He's done with them.
Delightful. All right. Any other big plans for the year of 2023?
Yes, but I think we're going to talk about that in the next question.
Ooh, excellent.
Whoa.
I should have asked you last. All right, Davey, it's your turn. What's your 2023 docket look like?
For me, I have been super tapped out with Underworlds, mostly because I am like the primary preparer, planner, recorder, editor for what the heck's. But
pocket. Oh no,
Hetman of Hexes. We got but we got some new crew on, and once we can get them through some hurdles administratively, then right now it has been a challenge, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But what I hope to do is to be able to open my time up to be able to try out some of the other games that I have had to step away from. So get back. I would love to play some Path to Glory. I'd love to play some Warcry. I adore the Corvus Cabal models, and I've assembled a bunch. And I just really would like to expand the number of games I'm playing Games Workshop wise. And so that's my goal, personal goal playing wise. I have other ones show wise, which I think we have coming up.
Right on. Good goals. Great goals. Attainable goals, I think. Hey, Josh, tell me about your 2023. What do you got planned? What do you got cooking?
Well, my main goal, obviously, is our new season of Warcry. We have to paint up a monster, so I definitely need to do that and try and do it more in a timely manner. But I've also got my Jade Obelisk that I'm really looking forward to painting and getting up and playing in the next kind of league season. Vint and I have talked about, since he's also really into the Jade Obelisk, about setting up a narrative where we've got our war bands and it's like a twins, and they've kind of divided themselves, and now they're in 2 rival war bands. And so maybe somehow carrying that narrative throughout the next year would be a lot of fun. So I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that too, Josh. It's going to be awesome.
Yes. And then other than that, I think my main goal is to, with Warcry having these 4 different releases throughout the year, my main goal is to keep the terrain, getting it assembled and painted as each release comes out so that I can continue to have that available for us and the league to use.
That is a great goal. I like that goal. I want that goal, in fact.
Yeah, Aaron, we were going to ask, what army are you going to paint this year?
Oh, sure. Ouch. That's the meanest thing anyone's ever said to me. Honestly, I have no plans. I don't think too far ahead in the future. Oh, okay, that's a lie. I'm lying to you guys right now.
I wish you wouldn't. It sucks.
We can tell.
It's hard to trust. It's hard to trust me. Oh, no, they're sitting right in front of me. I don't know why I was thinking about this. So I paused my Slaves to Darkness, which is I was working on quite a bit. In fact, I didn't even do the Dim Prince, even though it was my favorite model this year. But instead, I transitioned over to the Jade Obelisk.
Oh, yeah.
Because guess what? I want to get back into Warcry. This series of boxes and like the seasonality of it now is really tickled my fancy. Do I love order? Do I love schedules? Do I love like a steady pace of things? Those are all
questions. What's the answer, Aaron?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Aaron,
times yes.
Aaron has watched me play 2 games over the last 2 months. So
That's so much. That's as close as to playing a game as he's been.
We're edging closer.
That's true. But furthermore, we don't know what my project is. My project is getting one of my friends, just a single non-Warhammer playing friend, to like play Warcry with me.
Ooh,
so that was one of the
games. You got Kenny creeping closer and closer, right?
He played a game with Eric just the other day in my own dang house, in fact.
Nice.
In the same home that my children sleep in. And
you hope they sleep there.
It felt dirty.
a little scandalous.
It was a little used.
Yeah.
So one of you is the Rottmeier Creed? Is that what
So I got my friend Kenny, yes, I wonder if he'll listen to this and he gets a call out on the episode because he had Lizardmen from way back from 8th edition. So I said, hey, man, check out these chameleon skinks. He's all about them. And so I want to play sort of and follow through with the current setting in the Gnarlwood and, play through all the missions and really get involved in the setting for a bit because I feel like I've been on the outside looking in for far too long. So that, yes, is one project that I would like to see come to fruition in 2023. And if that means I need to paint some dudes, then so be it. I do have paintbrushes.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Anybody an actual answer? I'm impressed.
I had forgotten about it for a split second, but then I remembered as they looked at me all sad with their sad eyes. So I have 4 of the 10 assembled already. Look at me go, guys. Cool. Other projects you guys thought about that you didn't chat about before we keep going? Things you want to looking forward to in 2023 personally?
I mean, I would love to get our league to the point that Davies League is. Just love the energy over there, and we've sort of gotten it going, and we've gotten some excited people. But we've got to, I think, maybe put in some more. How do you put it? Like structure in there.
Yes,
it would help.
Yep.
So, yeah,
I would love to get to the point. I see these. Sometimes the White Dwarf articles or other places on the web where these Necromunda campaigns have like these newsletters that come out and everything. That would be so much fun to do.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Yeah. Trying to integrate that takes a little bit of work.
God, Necromunda. If only you could live up to your promise.
I never do. All right. For whatever reason, this feels like a natural segue. So beyond just the things you personally want to work on, maybe and the hobby, let's get to the real nitty gritty, the things that the listeners want to listen to. They want to know what's in it for them in 2023. They want to know what treasures and treats they're in for in this next year. And so to that end, I'd be curious to know what you guys think is slated for your respective shows in 2023. Dogs of Warcry, What the Hex, Path to Story, and yes, even the Mortal Realms story phase. What does this next year look like for the content that we're putting out? Any changes? I'd love to hear about it. So I guess Josh and Eric, Dogs of Warcry. Oh, and Vin, Dogs of Warcry. What are they in for this year?
I'm hoping I get to stay on the podcast.
Try another one, Vin.
Yeah. I heard you weren't that good of a ringer, so
Yeah.
I don't feel bad. I think that was an invitation, not a
Try a better one, he says.
So, I'll just put out there real quick, just as an aside. I've started to try and incorporate some more video content, specifically on TikTok, because it's less daunting than YouTube and putting together longer form videos. So I've done a little bit of kind of box opening, and though we did a box opening podcast one time that seemed to do really well, which is weird because you can't see anything in the box.
I loved it. I listened to that whole thing and it was awesome.
So we're breaking new ground. We might we might do more of that. But so some more video content, talking through projects and showing some of that stuff, and so that's something that, but definitely trying out, and we'll see how long that steam goes, depending on how good I get at it. But there's that.
It was well received.
And then what do you think about the main cast? What are some things that you guys could imagine us doing? Hey guys, let's have a planning session right now and look forward to see what might do.
I'll let Vint jump in first.
Yes. So I think it'd be really cool is things to add. We do a really good job of kind of talking about like where our games are and what we're working on. But I think maybe adding like a narrative minute, right? Like, what happened to your characters for this season of Warcry? What happened for this league? And I think that would be kind of cool. And we can, that way people at home can follow along on our story that aren't following us along on our Discord. I think that would be kind of neat. And also setting up a really big event with Underworlds and Warcry and Age of Sigmar hosted by the Mortal Realms, and Josh Arrington's going to set up all the rules. It'll be perfect.
I didn't know there were this many buses in the world for different people to be thrown under.
It's actually just the same bus.
I got track marks.
I guess to add on to that, or in that same vein, we do have Adepticon 2023 that we'll be running the narrative for, and there's quite a bit yet to plan for that and communicate about that, and then just talk about. So there's certainly be some more coverage on that, and I think it would be cool to record some audio at Adepticon, whether that's like a quick, backpack rig or something like that, and just do interviews and record audio or whatnot. But I guess that's a goal that I have that would be kind of fun to do this year.
Yeah. Whoever has the backpack rig, can we make sure they're dressed up like a Ghostbuster?
Davey, that's where my head went too, though.
Sacrosanct Chamber?
Yeah.
Did you want to dress up as Dora the Explorer?
I mean,
hey guys,
I have a map.
Yeah, but that's a different podcast.
Guys, I know I'm not tall, but can you leave it for a second?
Just any other thoughts on? Yeah, Josh.
Yeah, I was going to say, just logistically, season 5 is kicked off. Our schedule's been a little hectic. Hoping to get to more of a routine release schedule as we go into the next year. So people will know when to expect us. So kind of logistically working towards that. But yeah, as Eric mentioned, we've got a big event at Adepticon coming up. And we've got lots of ideas for events throughout the year, more on a kind of a semi-regular basis, but we've just got to kind of get those logistics in place. But I think we've got a lot of fun ideas for the league and for events and kind of bringing the community together.
Yeah. In 2019, we were kind of the only Warcry content on the scene. With the Heart of Gur launching, we've got a lot more content creators around Warcry on YouTube and other places, so it'd be kind of fun to do some.
I had no idea that was the case. I thought you guys were still the only show in town.
No, there's tons.
Yeah, YouTube mostly really exploded. Yeah. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's good.
Right.
That's it.
I'll go to your events too, other content creators. We can throw down. It'll be a good time.
As long as you put them on the show.
Yep.
Dave, I heard you speak up. Tell me about what's on the docket for What the Hex.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we got 3 new contributors to What the Hex. Josh, Skylar, and Brian, and they bring a ton of energy to both our league and to the podcast. And we have a lot of plans. Like we've done, one of the things I'm proud of our podcast doing is, relative to the the other creators in Underworlds out there is like we've been extremely consistent. You know, you know you're going to get an episode every 2 weeks out of us on Saturday morning. You can count on a What the Heck's episode being in your feed. And as we kind of build that consistency, like there's the opportunity to expand, but it's limited by my ability. Like I'm already kind of tapped out as far as like doing the back end of it. But getting more people on board, I'd like
longer.
to.
Yeah.
What's that? Well, yeah.
Longer.
So the idea was to like share some of that load, but because some of our restrictions, all I've actually done is increase my workload as far as like I'm doing all the same stuff, but I'm also now scheduling 3 additional people. But once we overcome a couple of these hurdles in the short term, I'd really like to figure out ways to reward some of, like, we have these incredibly generous patrons, and I'd like to, you know, they're doing it for basically like no return, and I'd like to be able to create something that they can appreciate.
No return?
Well, okay. The return of, I mean, I don't know.
I think just keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, you and Aaron are the ones that actually do the short story podcast. So you literally give them a return.
You don't need to acknowledge me. I'm just here for fun.
No, I would never. But you know, there's a lot of ways we could go, and because we have the extra people and the extra energy, like we're kicking around all these extra ideas of like, do we start to do some video content? Do we start to do off week sort of things where like you could have something like, if I get another editor on board, we could go as often as weekly, and all these sort of things. So like we have put the pieces together where another 1 or 2 components, and then we have the option to like really kind of explode as far as what we can do. And it's a very exciting time for What the Heck's. Not just because of like the raw numbers that we have, but because of the awesome positive energy that Skylar and Brian and Josh bring to the podcast. So, and it's a good time to be doing it because Games Workshop is really focused on making the game more accessible to new players, reducing the emphasis on like owning everything from ever that existed, and making it being, you can play this game, like grab this, and now you can play along with anyone else or whatever. So, I think it's a good time to be creating content for Underworlds, and I think we got a good crew to do it.
Right on. I'm excited, and I didn't say it before, but I'm excited for Dogs of Warcry as well. Speaking of things that I'm excited about, Paul, I'd love if you could tell me what do we do to find out more about the old path to story?
Well,
R.I.P. Or is it?
Are the rumors of its demise greatly exaggerated?
There might be a Necrogate coming, and we might figure that out. So, Path of Story is going to be back for a season 2, and we are expanding our roster as well. I know in the beginning, you guys had Mal, but we decided that was a great idea, and we need to expand beyond Wisconsin for 2 of our hosts. So
get Mal for both of them.
Exactly. Mal 2, double the Mal. And so we have reached out to a couple of people in the Discord. So if you are in the Discord all day and every day, you may have then noticed that there are a couple more people with the Path of Story tag on the Discord. So we have got all the prep work done to start planning out our next season and start planning out our next recordings and figure out how that's going to work going forward. So
awesome.
We are super excited. We got a lot of positive feedback from the events that we went to, and people are like, well, you know, we love the show and we want to listen to it more. And so we're like, okay, well, let's leverage some of those people who are as passionate as we are and maybe broaden the base and make things a little bit more accessible for everybody and give people some time if they need off. We've always, in all of our podcasts, have focused on the fact that like this is something we do for fun and not something we do for work. And so,
associated to that, Paul, do you guys have an event this next year at Adepticon?
We do have the Gibbering Dome again going on this year. So
excellent.
Yeah, so that'll be super exciting as well. So
I've been meaning to actually talk to you guys about this whole like it not being work thing, because I think we're gonna have to revisit that to some degree. I'm gonna expect a little bit more out of you. Any more to share on the path to story?
I think that's pretty much it. We're super excited to go forward. So,
well, nice job. I'm looking forward to hearing more episodes. It's gonna be great.
I was gonna say that too, but now it sounds weird if I just say what Eric said. So
just say me too.
Yep, exactly.
Seconded.
Same. Look, fam.
All right. From the story phase perspective, I feel like I'm in a bit of a brainstorming session in that listeners have noticed that a lot of what we've been doing lately is the Battle Tome reviews, which is, sort of been a hallmark of what the story phase has been for a while. But we're running out of armies that we haven't talked about yet. I can count on 2 fingers because there's 2 of them that we haven't chatted about. So as soon as the Flesh Eater Courts book comes out, and then whenever Khorne gets re-released, like that'll be it. We've covered them all. And so I think that's a great opportunity to reevaluate the things that we chat about on the show. I want to diversify a little bit.
Let's do a novel.
That would require
Oath, maybe?
That would require me to read a book, Davey. And when was the last time you witnessed me finish a book? It just doesn't happen anymore.
Amen.
I'm in a book club with this guy, and I can't remember the last time he finished one of the book club books.
I'm Team Eric all of a sudden.
That's supposed to be my role, but you know what? Welcome.
Thank you.
Feels good.
I'm glad to be welcomed back. So, we'll talk more. We can talk about what novels mean, but so some things I want to do more of in that I want to do guests, right? So we had Dougie Fresh from 2+ Tough on the episode for Arcane Cataclysm, and it wasn't my best work, mainly because I had to do it twice, and it kills me a little bit, and so I feel like that was not my best foot forward. So I'm going to apologize right now to Doug. We can do it again. And I'm going to keep trying until we get a great guest experience. And so I want to try to do more of that, collaborate more with other content creators out there. I was going to make a joke at your guys' expense, but I'm not going to anymore. Furthermore, what I also want to do, sort of reaching out, is I want to do more or at all. I want to start interacting with the authors at Black Library. So at the very least, if I'm not going to read their books, I could help them type up their books that they have been writing. And so,
what a sales pitch! Oh my goodness, that is so good.
Well, okay, to be clear, hey, I bought their book, and then I can also help them sell their book. What more do they want from me? Is that not enough? And so that is something I want to try out. I've got a couple lines out to see if authors would be willing to chat with a bunch of goofballs on the Moral Realms podcast to see if they wanted to chat about their books.
It'll be just a series of questions of, can you sum up chapter 1?
Yeah, let's start with chapter 1.
Chapter 2.
Oh, you did 1 so well. How about we just keep going to chapter 2? Just keep going. Don't stop. So that is also something I'd like to look into. Go ahead.
Quick question. Would Soulbound kind of fall into this? Would you interview Soulbound creator?
Very well could be. Yeah, absolutely. Got hooked on that Soulbound multiple times now. I feel like I get hooked. I get off the hook. I get rehooked. I don't fish a lot. That might be how it works typically. And so, yes, you bring up a good point, diving back into that Soulbound ecosystem as well. I feel like there's some people talking about it, but I want to talk about it too. So there's just a couple options. There. Yeah, a couple options there. And if GW started releasing more campaign books, you better believe we're going to be covering those as well. To Davey's point about the Black Library novels thing, yes, we could do novel episodes. But if we do, I want to maybe reevaluate the format of how we did them. I just didn't like the way the pacing that we had. And maybe there's another way to present that content, and maybe in a different format entirely. So if it's not on the podcast, maybe some other way to do so. So these are just ideas, my friends. These are not plans. These are more goals or thoughts that are floating around in my head. But you better believe that I'll be doing my darndest to ensure that every month we still kick out a story phase as best we are able. So that's small story phase in a nutshell. We got another listener question from Celtic, who plays with you guys. Oh, is that Joe? Okay.
It's Joe.
Yep. I don't get out enough. Sorry, Joe. But yes, are there any plans for adding new podcasts to the network in 2023? And I only included this question because, Joe, is 4 not enough for you, my friend? There's so many. It's hard to keep track of them all.
I think he's gotten through the backlogs of most of them now.
Quite. Oh, he's listened to the guys at work a couple times now.
So then I'll turn the question back on you, Joe. Hey, if you want a new podcast on the Moral Runs Network, I think it's up to you, my friend.
Yeah,
it's just something. Yeah, lay it on us.
Oh,
we're all ears. Yeah.
Nobody else. I will say, like, as we brought on our new contributors for What the Hex, like I was like, hey, look, if you want to be part of the What the Hex, I'm great with that. Like, we'd love to have you. If you have something that you think would be separate, let's do that. And so like, that's, not to get too behind the curtain on this, but like, it's a thing that we try to champion with this network is like, if you are contributing if your idea is within the ethos of this podcast, like we want to promote that. We want to make that, we want to amplify that. And I had 3 individuals who had energy that I wanted to amplify. And if that was part of our podcast, then awesome. And if it was part of something they want to do on their own, then also cool. And so I don't think we have something specific, but like our philosophy is such that it's not impossible. Like we could see something.
If I had more, I guess could spread myself thinner, which I don't think I can. I think the space I would love to spend more time is in Soulbound, and would love to tell some stories and play in some stories and do more of that. There's certainly been a renaissance or a first move, or like a wave of actual play podcasting that's popular. And I think there'd probably be a space for that within our niche, within a niche. But it'd just be that's a bit more work than flipping through a battle tome and finding our favorite things. So it'd be cool.
I echo that. So if someone wants to do that work for me, please let me know.
Somebody wants to DM us.
Eric was going to do it, but he's got later on life. We all have
obligations. Absolutely.
It's called Dogs of Warcry. If it wasn't for Dogs of Warcry, I'd be all over it.
Dogs of Warcry.
Is that $1? All right. Other podcast big goals before we keep going, because I got another podcast question. Okay.
Sigmarnalia 2023.
Sure. Tomb King Tristan asks, he wants to know which podcast in the network won this year. And Tristan, I've been telling you this constantly. It's not a competition. There's no winning and losing in podcast. Someone else wrote this, but I echo the sentiment completely. It's not about who won, but it's the podcast that we made along the way.
I can't believe you didn't write that. That is that is...
Yeah, that's typical Aaron.
100% Aaron, right?
That's why I said it, because it just rolled off the tongue. It just felt so natural. I'm not 100% sure who did write it.
I think we could all puppet Aaron at this point.
I didn't write that.
Maybe
the spirit of Mortal Realms wrote that.
Oh, man. Who needs AI? You just get 4 dudes who know you pretty well to write your own script for you.
Although we do have 75% of the Dogs of Warcry cast on this particular podcast.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
but aren't we all story phasers?
Yeah.
It's true. Good call.
I would answer this seriously with saying the network won this year.
Nice.
Because
hey, you're the winner.
Legitimately, because
we hope.
The picture that we took on the stairs at Adepticon was one of my favorite moments of the year. Right. And that was awesome. Yep. It was everybody in the same place. And we hadn't been in the same place at the same time in 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate Paven couldn't make it, but we got the rest of us. It was pretty amazing.
Exactly. So it was just,
All right. Fantastic. Speaking of Paven, there's one last thing I want to do before, I guess I haven't written a closing, but one final segment in Paven's honor, actually, because the original of this was, I believe, Paven's idea. But the most requested element of this Sigmarnalia spectacular show was for us to circle back on some of our predictions from the first one to see how close or how right we were. You may recall, and actually I'll tell you what, if you don't recall, if you haven't listened to it, stop, go listen to the first one, and then come back here.
Stop, collaborate, and listen.
Where we did our fantasy
Vanilla
draft.
Eyes. Oh, wait.
Yeah. The idea being that we drafted characters from the Age of Sigmar, those that we thought would have the biggest impact in the year, or in this case, years to come. And I think it would be a fun way to finish this episode out is to review some of our predictions, our characters that we thought were going to be those large impacts, to see who had their finger on the pulse of where the direction of the setting of the Mortal Realms was going, so that we can crown, I don't know, a winner or winners. It's really just a gut check. I don't know that you can really quantify any of this. And so what I was hoping to do is real quick run through the people, everybody's nominations from back then, and let's get a glimpse of who we thought might be the most
Should we start with Davey since he was always the last?
Can't quantify this. Sounds like the words of somebody who lost.
Yeah. So I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna identify the picks by, I'll just say who picked who, and maybe I'll go zigzag kind of the way we had picked them. I think what I want from you guys is just a quick yes or no, whether or not you thought that individual had an impact from the past 3 years in the setting of the moral realms. We'll see who had the most positive yeses or what have you. I mean, we can discuss really quickly. We're not going to spend too much time on this, but let's go. So we'll go backwards. We'll lead up to the top pick. So like we said, we can start with Davey because he was who had picked last, and yet he had such a good last pick.
Oh,
so
man.
Davey's last pick was Alariel, the Ever Queen.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that is, I picked it last, but it feels like huge, right? Like that is got a ripple effect throughout all of the realms.
Still blooming.
Yeah. That I did not listen back to the episode, but I'm sure I was very informed and intelligent in my picking of this.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it was not a desperation pick, as 17 other things have been chosen before I got here. So yeah, super great choice by me.
Yeah, I agree.
It's nice we broadened it from 1 year to 3 years because then they don't know everything looks really great in 3 years.
Yeah. I think 2020 maybe not, but 2022. Oh yeah.
You say everything looks great. I think there's plenty of people on this list that did not end up being great. So we'll find those out too. All right. So Larry, I think we can all agree was a good pick. I think that's definitely a yes. Eric, for his last pick, picked Nagash.
Man, he was on a downtrend. He'd already kind of done his thing, and now he's kind of just getting beat up.
Yeah, but not out.
That's true, but I feel like I think we're going to hear a lot of picks that were a lot weaker than this one. Like I think his presence, even if he lost his conflicts, I think he shaped the conflicts by defining, like where they were.
Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah,
so I'll start off self-deprecating, and you guys can bring me back. I appreciate that.
He created the Ossiac Bone Reapers, which came out after this original. So all of that was all Nagash.
Hell yeah! Right? All right.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think Nagash definitely is a thumbs up as well.
Yeah.
The last 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely. One that isn't as much of a thumbs up. Oof, sorry, but Josh for his third pick had picked Kurnos.
Yeah, my last pick was way out there. Actually, Davey and I both had the same pick, and I picked it before him. It was Kurnos because we thought maybe we'd get something more out of the the underworld.
Josh, do you remember this, or did you listen to the episode?
No, I remember this. Yeah, I picked this, and you're like, "Oh, dang, I was gonna pick that one," and I was like, "Oh, we're on the same wavelength." Yeah, no.
I can tell you haven't spent 3 years of sleep deprivation like I have. I don't even know who Kurnos is.
No, the Kurnothi, the underworld.
No, I do. I'm exaggerating, but like wow. All right. Good recollection.
Kurnos is definitely one that I wish more than anybody else on this list would have been a thing. That was high on my I wish would have been a thing. But
who is he?
Wait, no, JV already made that joke. You can't make it.
Yeah, right.
You can.
Yeah. All right. So my third pick was Gorka Morka. I don't know that I can count that as a yes per se. In that, sure, the Realm of Beasts is ascendant for sure, but it's not Gorka Morka's deal. It's really more of a Kragnos and then the ramifications of Alariel. So I'd be the first to admit that I don't know that I would count that as a win.
But in lieu of knowing Kragnos' name, isn't he kind of a Gorka Morka stand-in?
I mean, I appreciate you doing that. That's very kind of you, but I think the spirit of the game, I think it dictates that not necessarily. I think that's a thumbs down.
Correct.
As much as it hurts. Pavent for his third picked Sigmar. Surprising that it took this long for someone to pick him, though at the same time, maybe he deserved to be that far down, because would you guys consider Sigmar a mover and shaker?
He came out with another chamber, the Thunderstrikes. I guess you have to say that he was involved.
I mean, losing track of what happened when, had the Sacrosanct tap? Yeah, Sacrosanct.
Yeah, Sacrosanct and Thunderstrike all came out after this. Yeah.
And Dawnbringer Crusades. This feels like actually a strong choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, his name is still in the game.
Age of Sigmar. Right. It's a sure bet.
Does anyone want to fight? Anyone want to fight him? All right. I see no objections. I'll allow it. It's in the green.
We can't fight a guy who's not here. Come on. What are you?
Sure.
You are without honor.
Yeah. Here's this is going to trigger a lot of conversation. Paul's third pick. Paul, tell us about your third pick.
My third pick was Dakala the Denied because we had Slaanesh and the Gloaming, and Dakala I thought would be a perfect foil for Daughters of Cain, and lo and behold, nothing happened.
I know. It was a good guess, though. I liked it.
Sure. Very specific.
To be fair, Slaanesh stuff happened. It just didn't have anything to do with the Dakala.
Right.
We got
denied again.
And we got the twins instead.
Agreed. All right, Phil's third pick was Lord Croak. Surprise, surprise. He's a big Lizard Man fan. I'm inclined to say yes. I think this guy counts in that he got a model and was in Broken Realms and was relatively instrumental in like redirecting Kragnos at the end.
Yeah, pretty strong.
I agree.
All right.
I'm going to support my castmate here. Good pick.
Just stand in. Yeah. We'll zigzag back up the snake list, and we'll do Phil's second pick then was Tzeentch, which is a big call. I mean, Tzeentch is sort of, some would argue, in everything. Like he's always in
Yes.
In all of us.
Do we think that counts? Is that good enough? I don't know that he did, or if the things that he did indirectly, do they count for movers and shakers in the moral realms?
It's kind of hard because the big thing that happened was the Silver Tower, but the Silver Tower, even though the Gaunt Summoners are aligned to Tzeentch, they weren't under Tzeentch, they're under Archaon.
Right.
It's a hard one.
I agree with Paul. I think it's more the Gaunt Summoner Silver Tower, not really Tzeentch.
Well, hold on. Are we talking about like Warhammer Quest Silver Tower? Because I predated this.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
No, Warhammer Silver Tower came before this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we're talking about in Broken Realms, there was a big Tzeentch force,
Fair enough.
but they were all led by the Gaunt Summoners.
Right.
There's rumors that Tzeentch brought down the temple ship in the Gnarlwood.
Correct.
True.
Oh, that's not yet proven.
Well, it's strongly speculated, but I suppose we can't give him to on speculation. I get that.
I'm down with it though, castmate.
Maybe we consider this one a neutral. Maybe just a wash. It's not
Neutral.
but not yes.
Yeah.
A good old
There's
nooch.
something in the battle tome that came out recently
So
that
mid.
specifies.
It's the nooch. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. All right. Should we be giving it thumbs up, thumbs down? All right. Paul's second pick, Brock Grungson. Not even the most impactful Parajan Overlord.
I'm annoyed.
So sorry. Yeah.
Because I feel like he should have been in Broken Realms. He's the only named character, and then they went and made other named characters to be more important than him.
Just to spite you.
Yeah, no, like I think it was a good pick, and the KO got a lot of page time, but he just was not included in any of it. So
Yeah, that's true.
I agree.
All right. Paven's second pick was Tyrion. I don't think so.
Who was really blind that time?
Wait. We don't think. Oh, hold on. Back up. Like, didn't Broken Realms happen? Didn't he have a role in Broken Realms? Are we that?
Well, yes, he did. He did have he brought back Teclis, and he did have
okay. Mm-hmm.
No, wait.
He did have some. He
Everything
did have
is
some
awesome.
aspect in the Lumineth lore. Yes.
Well, no, yeah, but like, I mean, it was intentionally like, not obfuscated, but like it was intentional. He was intentionally not the focus of that. Like it was Teclis's fight against Nagash. It wasn't Tyrion. Like he was
third party.
He was background. I think. I don't.
he was waiting for Godot. Come on, and we're.
I just wanted to make a joke about.
No, and it landed. Yeah, no, you did good.
David, I tried. I think you're cool, but these guys don't.
His day has yet come.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right, my second pick, Celestin Prime. The only thing I can argue was that he tried to like bring Marathi to justice, and then his leash was pulled taut.
No,
but I don't know that he did much else.
You're a thumbs down on that.
I mean, he was in.
Appear in Broken Realms.
He did appear.
He appeared.
Is that all it takes? I mean, is that enough for a nooch? Maybe
if all it takes to appear is Tyrion, then Tyrion should get a nooch.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
But Celestin Prime was actually in a battle. Tyrion was literally like wandering around off screen. Oh, that was Tyrion. Who was it? I don't know. Some actor was hired for 5 seconds.
In 2019, had he been dusted by Lady O at that point, or had that yet to come? I can't remember. Is that
Celestin Prime?
Is that
wait? He got dusted by Lady O.
Yeah.
He did.
Oh man, Age of Enlightenment. Like this dude is just getting smoked all over the place.
Yeah. Agreed.
No.
Hashtag spoilers.
From 3 years ago.
Gosh, because if he did get dusted, I would say that maybe brings him to a nooch. I have to look it up though. I'll come back. I'll report back in a little bit. All right, Josh, you're number 2, Gordrak.
Oh yeah.
I think so. I think he has. He has.
I'm down with the Gordrak.
Yeah.
Let that walk.
Got a crow, or definitely crack nose, and went to the 8 points after the end of the Breaking Realms. Yeah, definitely.
I think, and plus I'm a big team Gordrak, so I'm all for it. All right, Eric's second pick, Gotrek.
3 books, baby.
Did it do anything in the actual storyline though?
Impact,
including Black Library right? Because we haven't included Black Library in any of the other ones.
But
I think it has to be neutral at least. They're books, but he doesn't actually take active placement in the storyline.
I mean, very low impact actually. Like he hasn't impacted anything outside his books really.
Yeah, but if you compare him to Felix,
which is important, it is vital.
That's literally your line. If you compare him to somebody that died thousands of years ago in a completely different universe,
I'm willing to go neutral or better on Gotrek just because of how much impact he had on the tabletop.
hey,
Oh, did he? I vote.
Yeah, you guys.
Neutral.
In the last 3 years, Gotrek being like he was a big deal on the tabletop.
On the tabletop,
he smashes.
I see.
That's very true.
I'm here at
Better than
neutral.
some of the gods,
Is
isn't it?
someone going to argue higher than neutral? We're going to push this higher.
besides Eric, no.
I'm satisfied with
Right.
I'm satisfied.
Cool.
I fought for you up to neutral.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Davy's second pick. Davey, for all your belly aching about picking last, you actually had a really good run. Grug would be in your second pick.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that. In fact, I didn't guess that.
Yeah.
Literally.
The historical record shows you did not guess that.
For those who don't know, he had a little bit of a presence in the Broken Realms. He sort of had this return, this renaissance a little bit, and he keeps popping up lately, spouting off how the Duarden need to get their act together and so on and so forth. So Grogny's definitely on the scene.
To be fair, I'm in the choices that we've reviewed, I'm 2 for 2. But if this had been restricted to the year 2020, I'd be 0 for 2.
Yeah,
probably.
true.
So
yeah, great. You just had a longer
I've benefited from how long it took for us to do this again.
Davey, we're zigzagging. We're back to Davy's first pick, Gardas Steel Soul.
Yeah, my first choice, and not as strong as my last 2.
True, that I still think he got it though, because he was in Broken Realms. He got a model. I think that's worth it.
You got a rad model.
Yeah, he is pretty legit.
Got a nice model.
Superhero landing. All right, Eric's first pick.
I knew I was working with a favorable audience when we were talking Gardas. Aaron's a big Hallowed Knights fan, and so there wasn't going to encounter much scrutiny. Anyway,
It's true.
yes,
Move right past it. Yeah. All right, Eric's first pick, Vandus Hammerhand. I say no.
Who?
I say neutral.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
I was with Eric on this pick. I really wanted Vandus to come back strong. And as a listener more than a contributor to the story phase, I was excited to hear a mention in the most recent Slaves to Darkness episode. That was spicy for me. I want this guy to be back in there. I think he's part of the DNA of Age of Sigmar. And he should continue to be in there. But
we don't grant points based off of should. We grant points based off of did, and I think his only mentions have been because he hasn't really been doing anything. It's almost like a rubbing.
I mean, that's his story plot is doing nothing.
Doing nothing. going crazy. All right, Josh's first pick, Archeon, safe bet.
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh yeah.
He's covered a lot of ground.
Each year, all 3 years, baby.
yeah.
Sure. All right, my first pick, Catacross. What do we think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Broken Realms. He had a big impact.
Path of the Ever-Chosen.
Wrath of the Richard.
Yeah.
Yep. He was absolutely important in there.
Well, I'll take it then. I appreciate that. You guys are kind. And it's fun to talk about because he's also had a little bit of run-in with Archeon, and he's suffering similarly, not exactly the same way as Vandus. So it's sort of a difference between the two of them. All right. Paven's first pick, Slanesh. Does the twins count? I say no.
No. Yeah, I say peripherally. Nothing else.
I'll give you a nooch. I'll give you a nooch on that.
Yeah,
neutral.
yeah. I'd go Newt.
I feel
He's
like
broken
people,
some of his chains, so
I think Marathi and Slanesh kind of hitting it. Didn't Slanesh get a whole new release?
They're
of
diametrically opposed.
Didn't they fight?
Foes. Isn't it funny to think that like one of the biggest movers and shakers of the past 3 years has in fact been Marathi? And spoiler alert, no one picked her.
No
Not on
one
this list.
Ooh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But instead,
Underestimating.
picked your son. Paul's first pick,
yeah.
Malarion.
And we all thought that was a great pick. Everybody's like, "Oh, I was going to pick
It was
him."
a great pick. I did.
Totally. 3
Should've
years
been.
later, still nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
No such luck. All right. Phil's first pick, Techless. I think that's squarely in the yes category.
Yeah.
He got a whole book
He literally
named after him.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was beyond 2020, but we finally got it. Yeah.
sure. Can you guys are looking at the notes too? What are your overall takeaways? What are some themes? What are some?
I lost.
Yeah.
That's what my takeaway is. I completely
picks last.
objectively lost.
Go last if you want to win.
Yeah.
And essentially, yeah. To think that
I mean, does that say that Davey was really good, or that the rest of us were really bad?
and he only picked what was left. Yeah.
4K no los dos.
It's literally
Yeah,
just,
amigo.
I'm really bad. Everybody else only had one that was nothing, and all three of mine got no mention anywhere in the lore.
Oof. Oof-a-doof.
You were just farsighted, Paul, and they just didn't realize your vision.
Paul, here's the thing: is it like if you went 1 for 3 on these choices?
Yeah.
I mean, Malarion, but like if either the other ones had come up, like you would have a moral victory. So I respect the bravery on these choices.
Exactly.
Shoot for the fence.
So, Davey, do you have any words you want to say? Anything anybody you want to thank, perhaps?
I just want to thank COVID-19 for giving me 3 years in order to.
People don't thank COVID enough.
Nice.
Nobody takes that out of context.
Please don't clip that.
Yeah, that's just a drop we start using. Cool.
Oh, jeez. Guys, Forbidden Power happened in 2021. Like that's the Celestin Prime got dusted at that.
Oh my god!
I'm still looking it up. I say Nooch. I'm arguing for Nooch for the Celestin Prime, but we can take this offline.
That's
David,
fine. No,
clearly,
Nooch is good. Nooch is good.
because if that's the case, then so let's go around. It's hard to judge and like add numerical values to this. Davey obviously won. I think Phil was in pretty strong second.
What the heck? What the heck?
Podcast you make along the way.
Yeah.
Eric, Aaron, and David all squarely in the middle because they got one, they lost one, and there was a neutral one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but Josh was probably a third place though, because he had two ups and one down. So still pretty good. So you're trying to tell me the person who accompanies me on the Lore podcast the most couldn't get a single one.
As if I ever could.
Yeah. It's Paul's world. We're just living in it. All right. Well, hey, so listeners,
hey guys, to be fair, should we just review Paul's every year?
Yeah.
He's a visionary. It's
okay.
different.
Yeah. All right. It feels weird not to have some predictions. Okay, let's real quick go around the horn in the opposite order, just to see. You get one character in the next year, and we don't even really need to give me big explanations, and then we can end this podcast. It just feels weird not to do it, especially we talked about it, and it's been so much fun. I'm surprising you guys. You haven't had a chance to think about it, but let's do it here. Well, actually, we'll do Vint because he didn't get to play last time. Vint, you get first dibs if you are still here. Who do you think is
unlikely?
Who is the character that's going to who's going to have the biggest impact in the next calendar year in the Mortal Realms?
Ooh,
Give me a character.
I feel like the easy answer is Baelacor, and if I get a side answer, Eternus.
Oh,
Don't.
okay.
No, you can't get both. Come on.
I want
One out. Breaking the rules.
Sure. All right. Let's say. I think if we're going backwards order, then so Paul, you get to pick second dibs.
Oof.
Well, you think Be'lakor would have been a good answer for last.
Yes, Be'lakor was a great answer, and nobody took it. But Be'lakor was about as far away from anything as the Kala was at that point.
True.
This is a hard one.
Whoever you pick has to be in a 1-sentence summary.
Yeah.
Picticala again, just to really double down on it.
No, I'm going to Grenzy.
Gregney?
Oh, you
Yeah.
dirty dog.
I know, right?
Good guess.
But
good
Are we
guess.
gonna make Davey go last again?
Yeah, because he got first place.
He won.
That's exactly
That's
where he
fair.
wants to be.
We're
Set
gonna
me
let
up for the
Davey
winning
make the
spot.
best picks again. Yes, unfortunately, yes.
All right. Next from behind, Eric. Not that I think you and I tied, but I'll give you the chance to go next.
Vanda's Hammerhand.
All right.
I'm gonna take my red. I'm gonna turn it into a yellow at the very least.
Sure.
Nice.
Oh God, I give you guys the chance to say so. I think. What? Not Morger, but the guy who's like his stand-in. His speaker? I can't remember the guy's name. The Beast Man.
Oh, the shaman.
Yeah, the shaman. I'll look up his name, but we'll insert Morger's devout follower shaman.
Like just
name here.
insert syllables like Grishnak or
Oh, it's like starts with the
Ron
B.
Trey.
Yeah, you got it in one.
or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Mainly because I don't know what else is going to get released in the next year. Because I think we're going to do this sooner than the next 3 years. He said with his fingers crossed, optimistically. All right, we're going up the line. So I think Josh is probably going to be next. Josh.
Well, you stole mine, so I'm going to go with the Chaos Dwarf God.
I should.
Really, the
Yeah,
Beast Man
I
was
thought
going to be your guy? That was a deep cut.
Yeah.
Cool. Hashut, that's probably a safe bet as well. And that leaves Davey. Tell us.
I mean, somehow nobody picked Malarion, so I'll throw that out there.
Yeah, going for the underdog.
Well, I'm gonna
Somebody-
lose now.
No,
I mean, Malarion has been like a pick for the last 6 years, so
Yeah.
it's actually probably not a great
Fair.
choice.
Maybe this time.
I am looking at the Shadeborn Warband sitting up on my painting table right now, and they're rad as hell. I hope they get their boss man coming in hot.
Right?
agreed. They think Marathi thinks that they're hers, but I think she'll find out soon that they are not.
She wrong.
The shadow.
Yeah.
Did anyone write these down? Somebody's gonna have to listen back to this.
Maybe when I edit it, or maybe I'll ask Klaus to do it for us. My man.
Klaus, help us out.
Go back 5 minutes, write down our votes.
Let's get a Klaus chant going on. All right, so that I think brings us to the end. I'll ask you guys maybe I'll go down the line. I'll give you a chance to give me parting thoughts, or if there's anybody you want, I don't know, we could thank people. Would that be a nice thing to do? I don't know. So Josh, parting thoughts before we close this episode out. Anything you want to say?
Just it's been a great year, lots of fun hobby, lots of great miniatures and lore, and it's been a wonderful podcasting group.
Echoed. Davey, anything you want to say to the listeners or to us? Actually, please to us.
God, do I have to?
No.
No. A big thanks to Phil, who's been. We're about to hit 100 episodes early in the next year. That seems kind of incredible. I appreciate his partnership all the way along there. We're excited to have the fresh blood. So thanks to Josh, Skylar, and Brian for invigorating our local scene and our podcast. And thanks to all you guys, Eric and Aaron and all the rest for this podcast network to be a part of. And it's when we get to do stuff like this that like gets me, excited, motivated. The spirit, despite all the different games that we are focusing on or playing, like it's this sort of communal spirit that we are part of that makes this network what it is.
Here.
Right on. Very cool. Eric, you're next on my list. Anything you want to say?
Everything that everyone has already said. Plus,
Oh God.
the everybody on the Discord who allows us,
Yes.
to take what we've created, put it into an echo chamber, bounce around, and
Bring it back to us, make us feel like we're bigger for all.
yeah. But I mean, it's just the place that we've created. You've all helped create the place that we want to be playing in and sharing hobby in and that sort of stuff. And so, I just love that we've created this space together, both on the airwaves and through the Discord. And I couldn't make a fantasy draft better than the one we have.
The order on my screen got all messed up, so Vint, you're going to be up next. Hey, is there anything you want to say, Vint?
Well, I'm excited to be on the podcast with you guys. It's kind of, I feel like
Not for too long. It's funny every time. Funny every time.
It really is. It really is.
The memory is strong.
No, it's nice to be on the podcast with you guys. It is really cool. It's very exciting. I feel like a pauper or a halfling walking around with mega gargants all the time, and it's really, really exciting. Now, a lot of that's already been said, though, and it could be my last podcast every time. So, I want to
live like your last podcast.
I want to thank specifically Kieran for one sentence answer questions, and I feel like the best way to thank him would be, Kieran, you are like a mind stealer sphinx. You could steal all of our minds with one sentence questions.
Oh man! All right.
That's pretty good. All right, Paul. Final thoughts.
I'm going to double down on everything that everybody else said.
Yes.
But I think I'm also going to double down on what I seem to remember that I said the last time we did this, which is to thank the design studio and to thank GW for making something that we can still care about and still have this passion about, because that's
nice,
freaking fantastic.
Definitely.
What is it? 6 years, and then how many different games, and it's just amazing that we're able to sit here and still talk about it, right? And you go to events and you talk to people that you've never met before that are like, oh yeah, no, I listened to your show and it's awesome, and thank you so much for what you do. And so for those in the design studio, those who help to distribute and do all this kind of stuff, thank you. It's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
You guys took everyone. There's no one else to. I guess I think my mom. I suppose.
Have any?
For raising me right. No, I mean, there's literally just you guys have said them all. So what everybody else has said, the community, my fellow podcasters, the listeners. I mean, even GW, I guess.
Nobody's thanked themselves.
I thank me. Thankless job. No, I'm thrilled to be doing this still. I mean, I think a lot of us coming out the backside. Well, I don't want to say out the backside of the. I don't even mean that. No, I mean of the pandemic. I'm hesitant to say because yes, there's still the ups and downs of
Rose.
I'm glad that we're still here doing this. Basically, is what it boils down to. In that, the impetus is still there, the drive is still there. We still have so much more to talk about. You couldn't stop us from talking, even if you wanted to. So as long as you guys are here to listen, we'll be here to chat about these little weird toy soldiers that I can't for the life of me explain to my extended family. So
speaking of
only you
extended
get
family
us.
and significant others, thank you for letting us not drive them crazy by letting us drive you crazy by talking to you about.
You guys are my outlet, that's for sure. And so with that, I think that'll probably wrap it up. I didn't write down a closing. I could steal a closing from the main show once.
Just say, we'll see you in the backside.
We'll see how. I'll say it's time for our forging, but you can catch us any time. No, I can't do it off the dome. I used to know it.
Oh no!
Lightning bolt.
One sec, I can just pull up an old episode.
Why are you so bad at your job?
I'm really bad. Welcome to the Age of Sigmar story phase.
You want the beginning. You want the end.
Yeah, forge your own narrative.
You know what? It's not even so much about the podcast. It's the friends you made along the way.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I'll say this. It's time for our reforging. But Sigmar willing, we'll be back soon. Like, subscribe, share, leave a review. Join us on Discord. Drop a tip on our Patreon. Anything you can do will spread the word of Sigmar farther than we can on our own. Chat with us anytime about your thoughts on Twitter at The Moral Realms. Paul, where can they find you online?
At PJ Shard.
Vint, where can they find you on the internet?
At DOW Vint.
Eric, where can they find you on the World Wide Web?
Mostly on our Discord, but right now on Dogs of War on TikTok.
Davey, where can they find you on the interwebs?
At red_Zeke, or specifically if you want to do Underworlds at WHcast, and then always the Discord.
I can't think of another word for the internet. Josh, where can they find you on the intertubes?
Sure. On Twitter at J.E. Arrington or at dogsofwarcry@gmail.com.
And I'm Aaron. You can find me on Twitter at DosAsos, and you can find all our Mortal Realms shows and content at www.themortalrealms.com.
I just want to thank COVID-19